Happy evening to all of you. Welcome to the first day of 4 days capacity building program on standards on internal audit, organized by Board of Internal Audit and Management Accounting of ICAI, headed by our CCM CA Rajendra Kumar sir, and hosted by SIRC of ICAI, headed by CA Panaraj Singeri sir. The Board of Internal Audit and Management Accounting is one of the non-standing technical board of the institute. The mission of the board is to reinforce the primacy of our institute as a promoter, source and purveyor of knowledge relating to internal audit and other aspects related to its in the society. CA Rajendra Kumar, Chairman of the BIAMA ICAI, is working relentlessly through the board to bring out high quality technical literature in the form of standards on internal audit and technical guides, studies, manuals, which constitute an important tool in helping the internal auditor to provide effective and efficient internal audit services to the clients. The board also formulates industry-specific guidelines as well as general guidelines on internal audit in order to develop internal audit as one of the core competence area of the members and to update their skills in various contemporary issues related to internal audit. The board undertakes research and promotes the knowledge dissemination in the field of internal audit and management accounting. The board also organizes conferences, seminars, training programs, workshops on internal audit and management accounting on pan-India basis, and today is one such program being organized. The SIRC of ICAI is proud to host this program by joining hands with the internal audit and management accounting of ICAI. We have with us today our SIRC Chairman CA Panaraj Singeri, who has joined through online, and our beloved Central Council member and Chairman of Board of Internal Audit and Management Accounting of ICAI, CA Rajendra Kumar P, who is also the Program Director of today's program, CA Vidyadharan Krishnaswamy, Program Coordinator, and today's session speaker, CA H. Venkatesan sir. With a big round of applause, may I now request all of them to come to the dais, please. We also recognize the presence of Rekha Surana, the fourth day speaker. On behalf of the Office of SIRC of ICAI, we welcome you all once again. Without much ado, we will start today's proceedings with the invocation of ICAI motto song. Let us all raise for ICAI motto as a mark of respect to our mother institute.
Yaesha sukteshu jagrati Yaesha sukteshu jagrati Kamam 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 Purusho nirvimana nirvimana Adeva shukra brahma Asmin lokaha shitaha Sarve tanunatyadi kashya Etat dvaita Etat dvaita Etat dvaita Etat dvaita Etat dvaita
Thank you. Please be seated. May I now request Chairman SIRC CA Panaraj Singeri sir to deliver his welcome address. Over to Panaraj sir.
Good evening all. And yeah. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
Yes, sir, you are very much audible. You can proceed, sir.
Yeah. Yes.
So you can switch on.
Good evening all, and I am very happy to be part of this program. At the same time, I express my what's called inability to be there physically on this very stage. 4 days I program on standards and internal audit happening. and the chairman of the committee ever supporting Central members as the Rajendra planning this program, first of all. Because of late we have seen that there has been a lot of fraud. Performance by so capacity building program definitely helps in internal efficient high quality way when the frauds are controlled as well as the technology era where we are working also is open and before the fraud happens it is controlled as well as it helps the management in efficient management of the resources of the company. Especially for this program on standards and internal ability to have a good number of participants from this. Everyone are very happy to see such programs are conducted in a more such programs are conducted. Thank you for this opportunity, RK sir, and I welcome you all once again and thank you.
Thank you, Chairman sir. May I now request the CA Rajendra Kumar P, Central Council Member and the Chairman of the Day-1 Committee, to give us a special address.
My dear friend and the special invitee to the Board of Internal Audit and Management Accounting, CA Vidyadharan, our esteemed faculty for today, CA H. Venkatesan, one of our other faculty who is seated here, CA Rekha, very esteemed chartered accountants who have come here. I have to admit something before you. I don't know audit. Let me admit that very frankly, because I have never been an internal auditor. I have never done internal audit. I don't know audit. What I know auditing was when I wrote CA examination, that's all.
Everybody know.
That book, Kamal Gupta's book I read, Institute material I read, that's all. So you will ask me how you are here, why you are Chairman of Board of Internal Audit Management Accounting. Now, they say the judge need not know the law, he only has to be told. My only role in this program, I will tell you, is to organize this program. Such programs have never been held, let me tell you frankly. Money adi. In Tamil they say, that's almost money adcha unna. Money adcha. Such programs have never been held. No one wants to attend any internal audit seminar also. Internal audit means, oh, who will come, sir? All over India, we know that. GST means this hall would have been full by now. But at least I am happy that 50-60 of us are here to attend this program, to also see that this particular standard session that we are having is properly taken through. In fact, internal audit is today one of the biggest sunrise areas, they say. People have told me, as a chairman of the committee, the board, I have been informed it's a big sunrise area and a lot of work is there, and the expertise which a person gains in the field of audit and the organization's efficiency also gets highlighted through internal audit. So I requested Vidyadharan sir, why don't we do something like in Chennai? The first question my secretary of the board asked me, sir, will you get audience? You are trying something like this. No, don't worry, we'll get audience. Gain money anyway. And phone இல்லை உண்மை அப்பப்போ சொல்லுது இந்த ஃபோன் கரெக்ட். So I requested Vidyadharan sir, sir, why don't you help us? I have done nothing for this program, let me tell you. I am the chairman, fine. But whatever has been done is done by Vidyadharan sir. He is the person who designed this program, selected the topics, and also spoke to the speakers. So many of you are here, I am happy. I have one request. In the board of internal audit and management accounting, we need persons who can contribute for our standards, for our materials, and for the programs that we do. Every month we conduct 2-3 webinars or webcasts, as you may call it, on internal audit. So if any of you would like to speak, if any of you would like to write original materials, any of you would like to review the materials, any of you would like to contribute to our already existing materials, kindly write a mail to the board and we will be glad to accept your services. Because in the field of audit, very, very less number of people are there, let me tell you. So on behalf of the board, I sincerely thank Vidyadharan sir for this initiative. And 4 days, in fact today we had some important meetings in Delhi, but I thought I should be here today because giving importance, also many of you have come. Yesterday midnight I flew from Bombay here, and tomorrow early morning I am going back to Delhi for the meetings, for the council meeting. Thank you Vidyadharan sir, and I am confident that you will see through this very well. In fact, the institute, Rahman, he has organized it very well. So any minus is there, please tell me, I will be alone responsible. Our faculties, Venkateshan sir, Rekha madam, you all spared your valuable time, thank you very much. On behalf of the board and the SIRC, I should thank the chairman, and I would like to honor the speaker as well as the Shalapurma and Vidyadharan sir also. I request Mohan sir, seated here sir, please come and honor Vidyadharan sir, please come.
Please, please. So better. So please, I'll come there. So faculty, sir, thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir, thank you. So I won't take much time. Thank you very much, and relax yourself with the sessions and in a nice atmosphere. Sincere thanks for supporting us. And I would now request Vidyadharan sir to take us through the next 4 days. What are the sessions and who are the faculties? Sir, over to you.
Good evening, each one of you. As rightly mentioned by R.K. sir, it is a unique program. So far, such a program where exclusively standards on internal audits are alone handled in a session, not only 1 day, it is 4 days, 3 hours each day. That is the uniqueness, and there is a very good response. More than 80 people have registered, and here around 60 people are there. Maybe others will join after some time. See, if you see, there are standards under various series, 100 series, 200 series, 300 series, 500 series, 600 series, 700 series. 100 series talks about key concepts. 200 series talks about internal audit management. 300 to 400 conduct of internal audit assignments. 500 series standards on specialized areas. 600 series standard on quality control in internal audit. 700 series miscellaneous matter. This is how it is. Apart from this standard, we have guidance notes, implementation guide and technical guide. These two are there. Right now we are concentrating on standards and we are conducting programs like this. Later on we can conduct programs on the guidance notes also on various specialized areas and all that. When I say key concepts, it means, in fact, as per the definition of the internal audit given by the institute, there are two roles for the internal auditor: assurance role, consulting role. Under assurance, you do the verification of rules and regulations, compliance with the statutory regulations, rules, regulations, policies, etc., etc. Under consulting role, there are three different areas you are going to review. One is internal control review, another one is governance review, third one is risk management review. So these are the key concepts under the thing. In fact, standard setting process, if you look at, first thing, selection of the topic for a standard, then formation of study group for drafting the standard, then after the standard is drafted, draft is ready, it will be reviewed by an expert, and the expert draft, exposure draft open for comments for 30 days. It will be kept for the comments by the members for 30 days. Afterwards it will be finalized and then submission to the council for consideration. Council will in a detailed manner deliberate on the contents of the exposure draft and then it will approve, then it will be issued as a standard. So far, more than 25 standards have been pronounced by our institute, but it is yet to be made mandatory or compulsory. Maybe shortly we are in the discussion for making it mandatory. It may come, a day is not far off when it will be made mandatory. So that is why we are organizing awareness programs and capacity building programs like this. So we have 4-day session. Out of more than 25 standards, we are covering 17 standards which are found very, very important for day-to-day exercise of internal audit assignments. So today 4 standards will be covered by Mr. H. Venkatesan. Tomorrow 2 standards will be covered by H. Venkatesan and 2 standards will be covered by me. And day after tomorrow 5 standards will be covered by Mr. Amar Shah. And then final day 2 standards by Madam Rekha Surana and 2 standards by Giridhar Janardana. This is how the program is. So you please attend in an interactive manner, raise your questions or clarifications will be given for whatever questions you raise. Let it be an interactive session, make it more useful and get benefited. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Vidyadevan sir.
Yeah, because Mr. Krishnaswamy has outlined the program for the standard. I will be very grateful, but at least for tomorrow, give me the standard in hard copy. Pamphlet. Because I cannot be writing it every time, it's very difficult for me.
Thank you, Vidyadevan sir. May I now request RK sir to formally introduce Venkatesan sir.
What we will do, sir, nothing to say. The PPT of the faculties will be shared, will be circulated to all. Please circulate it to all. In today's also.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Still, friends, just 2 more minutes. We have here our faculty's profile, C.H. Venkatesan sir. But I know him personally for more than 2 decades now. though not very intimately, but then I know he is Venkatesan sir and he knows me that I am Rajendra Kumar. That much we know each other. From the time I know him, he is only in Sundaram Finance Limited only. I have not seen him anywhere else. So that means you are such a faithful person like me. You can see me only in the institute. You were born in which month, sir? April. He is a Tarian. If I am not wrong. Correct, sir? I am also a Tarian. The trait of Tarian, once they are there somewhere, they are there permanently. They are in that field permanently. He is in the field of internet for 30 years. He is in Sundaram Finance for almost more than around 3 decades. So between that much amount of in-depth practical, theoretical knowledge is there, but practical experience he has gained over a period of years. Today he is the Vice President in charge of Central Processing. It is not 1 or 2 branches, all of you know Sundaram Finance Limited. 650 branches across the country. Central Processing, this department is responsible for disbursement and handling of all processes during the loan life cycle of the concerned account. It means he is a very important man. So rightfully he is there, and he is there before us to present his paper on the standards of internal audit that just now Vidyadharan sir has propounded. So friends, it is my proud privilege to introduce Venkatesan sir to all of you, and before I request him to please start the topic of the day. One group photograph let us have, sir. And as a memory, we will send it to all of you also a soft copy. Please come, we will have a group photograph.
Because connection will be there.
Right. Good evening, friends. Thank you very much, sir, for the kind words of introduction and introducing internal audit as the sunrise. I think very rightly said by Mr. R.K. I thank SIRC and respected Vidyadharan sir for having given me this opportunity to share some of my thoughts on the subject of internal auditing. And my pleasure to be here in SIRC once again. These are the subjects which we probably deal with today and tomorrow. The first 4 subjects today, which is 230 and 220 on the objectives and the overall planning. With your permission, probably I would first take the objectives rather than the planning. So planning comes next before the, and using the expert advices, and then they will. These are the 4 standards which probably we will cover. And the next 2 sessions on SIA 7 and 11. Mr. Pannaraj, Chairman SIRC, already told about the frauds on the subject, probably which we will deal with it tomorrow. So at any point of time, if you have any queries and remarks, supplements, I would also request you to supplement and your experiences so that everyone gets benefited on that. Before we really begin the 4 standards, I thought that there should be a way to start with, which is all the standards are actually connected to a silver line, which is the framework. So before understanding about each and every standard, let us first understand about the basics of the internal auditing, the framework, how the standards are, and then every standard is connected to this line. This is a beautiful picture given by the ICAI. I'm sure it's visible from the last, right? Is it visible?
Not clear.
Not clear. Okay.
The light?
Not clear. Lighting. இதை கொஞ்சம் ஆட் பண்ணுமா? இந்த மாதிரி.
So this is a picture from the ICAI.
I'll explain it. The standards are actually with the thing. This is a line definition of internal auditing. Also with the code of ethics of ICAI, along with the code of conduct from each of the companies with which we are working, which are connected to basic principles of internal auditing. These are the pillars, basic principles of internal auditing, key concepts of internal auditing, and then based on which the standards are derived. Along with that, as Mr. Vidyadharan already pointed out, there are guidance notes to be issued by the institute. So these are the pillars on which the internal auditing is actually affected. So this is called the framework of internal auditing. We all know about the definition. Probably I will highlight a couple of sentences or words which is very unique to us. Provides independent assurance. So I think this is the hallmark of our profession. So whether you are an internal auditor or a practicing chartered accountant doing an internal audit services, what we are expected to do is to provide independent assurance. This is the hallmark of our profession. Which means you are unbiased, which is for any auditing, more so for an internal auditor. There are many debates about how the chartered accountants or the internal auditor working in a company, if the independence is not compromised, as he is getting salary from the company, vis-a-vis a practicing chartered accountant doing internal audit servicing. So whether how the internal audit independence is not compromised. So there are many debates and there are ways to do with that. The institute also clarifies that. So in providing independent, objective assurance by the internal auditing is a most important thing, and that's where the internal auditors gain several advantages out of that. What are we doing? We doing about the effectiveness. We give comments, remarks, assurance on the effectiveness of internal control. That's what we are focusing on. We are not focusing on not the line transactions or a day-to-day operations, but more importantly on giving insight on the effectiveness of internal control and risk management. Why are we doing? We are doing for the purpose of strengthening the governance mechanism. So that's the broad framework of internal audit. So we have to provide independent assurance on the effectiveness of internal control. That's the broader framework for internal audit. The basic principles, maybe for the left-hand side of the file, we can skip. All of us as professional auditors, we all know. Though Rajendra Kumar has already said that he read only the Kamal Gupta and become a Central Council member and becoming a president of this institute, but we all know about this at least from a theoretical point of view. So we all know about independence, integrity. These are all now ingrained in our blood system as of now. Probably I'll focus more on the right-hand side, which is the risk-based audit, systems and process focus, which means earlier in those days when we were a student or initial days of our working, we all taken these things as a tool. We consider risk management, risk-based auditing and process and system focus as a tool for doing an effective internal audit. Today it becomes principle. Which means, in my opinion, if you don't do risk-based internal auditing, you are not internal auditing. Or if you want to do internal audit, you have to do only a risk-based. Which means you are not expected to do a day-to-day transaction checking mechanism for every line of business. You have to do only through a risk-based audit, which means you give highlights to the company's top executives on matters of most importance to them, which is a risk-based audit. Probably Vidyaran may cover in the course of next couple of days what is risk-based. There is also standards on that, risk management. So risk-based audit, in my opinion, is the most important critical aspect of the institute, through which the internal auditing has to be carried out. So it's no longer a vouching mechanism, no longer a continuous critical appraisal, but more importantly, are a risk-based. So whatever you do, you have to take a risk-based approach. How do we take a risk-based approach? There are ways and means.
Give an example.
Give an example. I come from a financial services industry. There may be many examples from manufacturing or trading. Probably in our company, we give a loan for a purchase of automobiles, for purchasing a car or a commercial vehicle. So we do a lot of businesses. Let's say a fleet owner who has got 200 vehicles. So when I give a 2 crore loan, vis-a-vis a 2 lakh loan, probably it could be a risk. Or a particular construction equipment is a risk. So the risk may be from a product side, risk may be from a working capital. If I give a tire finance, the risk is different. If I want to give one more example, why many people are giving loans on vehicle? Probably these are all identified assets. You have a car which is registered by the RTO, okay, and the registration number is given. Vis-a-vis let's say asbestos sheet. An asbestos sheet, an entrepreneur may also require an asbestos sheet for his factory, okay, which is not identified. Vis-a-vis a car which is identified to a registration number given by an external agency, which is the government. Then RTO assigns a number under the Motor Vehicles Act, and that's why we identify that he is the owner. So for the purpose of Motor Vehicles Act, the registered owner is the buyer, who is the borrower to us, and thereby, in case if there is a default, we can go and repossess the vehicle. As against, if I give it that in an asbestos sheet, he may probably say this is not yours. And that's why predominantly when you go for a funding, most of the finance companies, banks are all interested in automobiles because it's identified. And if you want to sell the vehicle, there may be buyers to buy that vehicle, as against a person who is in need of an asbestos sheet. So there is nothing wrong in giving a machinery to any person compared to a person who is buying a vehicle. So there are risks involved. There is a risk involved in dealing with the cash, there is a risk involved dealing with the check. So for every aspect there is a risk. I deal with a cash transaction today, you may say, if I don't issue a receipt, you may say I have given 20,000, whereas I have only received 10,000. If I go to a customer and ask, and the customer pays me, let's say 20,000 rupees, if I don't account that and don't give a receipt, he may say I have given you 2 lakhs. And that's why receipts are issued. So cash is easy to carry and go to the bank. There's a risk, it may all be stolen. Whereas in a check, you may receive a check which is very convenient, but it may not get passed. There may be a realization trouble. There may be insufficient of funds. The check may get bounced. So for every aspect, we need to look at what risk that it carries. So cash may be a risk. Risk is actually a matter of perception. I may see this is a risk, I may see there is no risk. For organizing a meeting, probably they said that the people may not come. That's from a risk angle. Internal audit may be a good subject, but the people may not come here is a risk perception. So people see that people may not come to this program is a risk involved. If the people come here and then deliver, there will be an income on whatever cost that the insured bears, that will be compensated by the people who are giving the fees. So there is always a risk from different perspectives. So risk is a matter of perception. Rajendra Kumar says 80% is good enough. Somebody may say 120 people only is good enough. Or 30 people may be break even. So whatever you do, you have to look at from a risk angle and see that there is a controls are available. So instead of verifying all the transactions, take where there is a high risk. Probably there are tools available to see, take each and every line of operations or a product or a process, take that and see which one is high in your opinion, high risk or a medium risk or a low risk, you can categorize and give your attention and focus more towards the high risk category rather than doing all transactions together. For example, imagine today State Bank of India
transacts how much, how many ATMs, how many transactions are being done, how many disbursements are done. How do you verify as internal audit? Absolutely not possible without there being so many clear processes of which one to take first, which one you need to do, whether to do an ATM or not. Today there are, as Mr. Pannaraj already put it, there are frauds available. So today we have come to a stage of not stealing the cash in the ATM. There are people who steal the ATM machine itself. We have read there are news that the ATM machine itself is getting stolen, not the cash inside of it. So everywhere the process, each and every processes need to be understood from the risk that it carries, and then it enables the internal auditor to go on give that aspect and give a assurance to the company heads saying that this process is working. After all, at the end of the day, internal auditor what is going to do? He is going to take a process, see that this is the most important project for this company, and see that this is high risk involved, and I assure you that everything is going right. And everything is going right, how do I improve better? Things are not going right, how do I plug the loophole? Yes, sir.
What about the procurement of materials
Yeah.
or a contract?
Yeah.
In a company,
Yeah.
materials are bought,
Yeah.
contracts are given.
Yeah.
How do you think the risk?
Okay, I'll take that. So for a contract, generally, sir, whether it's buying a material or so, engaging a contractor may be a risk factor. So whom do you engage? To whom the contract should be given? Itself there should be a process. You can have a bid, you can have receive information about 4 or 5, you can have a due diligence. See that what is the background of the particular contractor vis-a-vis somebody else. So is there any sham transaction between the company and him? So all
why
that.
there is so much of chaos when they give tenders in Tamil Nadu.
Yeah. It's not only in Tamil Nadu, so it's how we take that.
Let me make it clear now. Let him cover the standard from start to end. We have a question and answer session at the end, 15 minutes or 20 minutes. There we can, otherwise it will be interfering in the flow of lecture kind of thing. I suggest like that, sir. It is better,
No problem, sir. But
So that
I
we
don't
can
take
cover.
it as an
Yeah, you
interference.
can
Good
take
that people ask and then clarify. That would also be better. Right?
System, it is better, so that the standard will be covered fully. Then whatever doubts are there, please note down in the notebook. That's why we have given a scribbling pad. Note down. At the end, we can ask.
We'll go by that. I'll take it either way. So to clarify, so there are you need to look at what will go right and go wrong when you engage a contractor. From whom I should take a material, from whom I should procure. What should I do before I procure and during procurement and later on. So those should be the process. If you go dig deeper into each and every process, you will come to know what is the risk that we carry. And once you know that there is a risk we carry, we have to see whether there are controls enough into the organization, which is what these systems are processed. So if there is a control enough, good enough. Otherwise plug that loophole and put some controls in place. This is the suggestion should be given by the internal auditor, is what expected from you. So risk-based audit on the systems and process focus are now become the principle of internal audit. This is what probably I thought I should share with you. And internal auditor basically is not expected to or should not participate in any of the line function authority. It doesn't have in any process decision making. In my experience, as I was an internal auditor for 30 years in the same company, and I never had any authority for 50 rupees or passing of 100 rupees. Today, I'm the other side of the table, so I disburse money and things like that. So I have the authority is too much. So the internal auditor cannot participate in any decision making. He can only give as recommendations and insight to the company, and the company takes a decision and puts some adequate controls. That's why the principle said we are not party to that particular transaction. Only then the independence is not compromised. So there are line functions in the manufacturing side. There is a buying department, procurement, sales, raw materials, all that are happening. But internal auditor is only reviews those things and gives insight to the company manager. And that's where I see the internal auditor should not participate in the decision making, but you need to know what is the day-to-day operation, without which the internal auditor will never give his suggestions. So for an internal auditor to say this is right and this is wrong, he should know what is right. So I think in experience, the internal auditor actually in a better position to understand what's happening within the company. Rather than if you're an outsider, probably the independence may not be compromised, but probably the insight may not be fully. And that's why many companies also prefer to have an internal auditor from that side. So they may perceive in-house internal auditor would be a better option rather than engaging an outside. And both are permitted under the regulations. So non-participation into the decision making is the principle of internal auditor, because we are not party. When we are party, the independence is compromised. So sensitive to multiple shareholders, as he said, there will be a procurement, there will be a contractors, there is a management, there is a line function, department heads, functional heads, there is a statutory auditor, there is a government auditors, or for us this is a regulator, Reserve Bank of India. So those are the people to whom we should see, and when I give any report, I should think from different perspective. This is the best insight for internal auditor, according to me, because internal auditor is not just like an internal auditor. He has to think from different perspective. I have to step into the shoes of the company, step into how RBI will think and other companies or the functional heads think, and then have to give. So when an internal auditor gives some remark, he has to go through all these aspects and then give. So that's what it says, that sensitive to multiple stakeholders. I can't just like that write this is wrong. I should know what is right and what is wrong. Only then I can give my comment. And that's where the internal auditor should be a balanced approach. You need to have the style of what is expected from every stakeholder and then give. It is not to compromise that you may not like this and you may not like that. I have to give only unbiased view. So more important, I should be very objective focused and not a person dependent. So it's not because the managing director says, it's not because of the line manager says. I have to tell what is right and what is truth is what expected from an internal auditor. To that extent, I need to understand from different people what is expected under the law. What is that getting practice in the company? I should come and tell them how to do that. Unless you know what is the regulation, unless you know what's happening within the company, which is the knowledge of business. There is one more standard covering the knowledge of business and the laws and regulations, most important standards within the overall mechanism of standards on internal auditing. So without understanding on which company you are working or which company you are doing a service of internal auditor, or the law that is applicable for us. For example, for us, the Reserve Bank of India gives a lot of directions every day: acceptance of deposit, NPA norms. Banks, there are so many regulations, deposit, governance, all that. So there may be electricity company, there may be a gas company, there may be oil company, there may be a contractual obligation, there may be a digital transactions happening. So there are plethora of laws and regulations in the country. So as internal auditor, we are expected to go and read everything and understand and then apply in practice. That's a great work for internal audit. So to that extent, sensitivity to multiple stakeholders, and thereby the internal auditor also is expected to improve the quality. Which means the company should be able to call the internal auditor and ask for where I can improve. I can say I am doing a great internal audit job, but my company also should acknowledge that. So unless I give my own process validation to them that what I am giving is actually sensitive or actually sensible to them, actually adding value to the organization, no company will acknowledge that. So in the earlier definition of the internal auditing, the institute is the earlier definition. The institute had the value of add value and strengthen. So internal audit is an independent management function doing a continuous and critical appraisal, adding value. So this current definition, the word add value is not there. Adding value is our basic objective. None of the company will say that I have an internal audit and they are doing what they want to do. It's not so. So we are expected to add value to the processes and the objectives of the company, without which we will not be engaged. And rightly so. So quality and continuous improvement to be established within the company by the internal auditor. There is a separate standard which is also getting covered tomorrow in the session. sensitive to multiple. This is what I've said, sir. The sensitivity is the line management function may take it easily. The senior management may not take that as a very simple one. It may be a compromise. It may be, for example, let's say, as you already pointed out, frauds. Fraud is a very sensitive subject. It's not. I can't say that I have a fraud and I'm telling you, sir, it's something happening in my department. You can't say that. So we will have to see what sensitivity that carries. So cash is stolen. It's not easy. You may write in a single line of cash is stolen, but there are many things going there. So what goes wrong and goes right. So sensitivity to multiple stakeholders, according to me, means that for an item can be taken in a different sense by the appraisal. So when I go and talk to managing director, this is what happening. The other guy may not take that as he understood or as he understand. Regulator may understand differently, or the government auditor may understand differently. Statute writer may understand differently. So sensitivity is I need to know where exactly they may come from, and I need to be ready to answer them also. So I may be right in my point, but he may question it differently. Because the way statute writer, their responsibilities are different from an internal auditor, and they have larger responsibility to the stakeholders. Internal auditor is only to the company's management, whereas statute writer is more to the stakeholders at large. And the regulator may view you as a company, so there is a reputation risk involved when the regulator asks. So sensitivity is just like that. I can't write what I know, though I am expected to write only the facts or the truth. So it may affect in a broader sense. I need to have that knowledge or that kind of a perspective when I give it to larger audience. That's what I feel, that the sensitivity to multiple stakeholders. Because you are not dealing with only one boss. You are dealing with multiple stakeholders. And that gives a lot more responsibilities to the internal auditor.
Sensitivity to stakeholders influence.
Stakeholders influence. Yes, sir.
Stakeholders influence.
Yeah.
I'm asking.
Stakeholders can influence you, you're saying.
Overall business.
No.
Influence of the stakeholders on the business for personal perspective. Is it sensitive?
It is sensitive, sir, because what I mean is internal auditor, when after the internal auditor job is to go and review a process, high risk, let's say high risk case, I am reviewing and giving a conclusion, or come with a conclusion or my opinion to the company. The person may take it differently, is what I am saying. So the MD of the company may take it differently, statute writer may take it differently. The same sentence. So the idea is the internal auditor should be able to see through that perspective and write that report. This is what sensitivity. Internal auditor basically should be an unbiased. So whether it's the regulator or by the managing director or by line function, I should say only the same thing. So I should be very unbiased and objective. And to that extent, I need to be very and think from a different perspective. This is what I understand from a sensitivity point of view. These are all of us who know about the internal control and risk and governance, so I will skip this. Compliance with laws, I have already touched upon this point. Compliance to me is day by day, it's all increasing. I would say in the last couple of years, in the last 10 years, I am seeing as a student when I studied CA and today, there is a lot of changes. Today you have lot of materials. So I generally tell people that today the downloading is very simple function. Okay. All of us know that you have a tool, go to a website, go to a Reserve Bank of India site, whatever you want you can go and download. You have a professional forms. Every day institute sends lot of materials. All our let's say PPTs and the PDF files are all available in short. All the professionals go and take the materials. But upload is what we need. So downloading according to me is a very simple thing. Upload is only taking time. So the laws and regulations is not very simple, and there is every day in papers you see that the non-compliance, there is a 1 crore penalty imposed by Reserve Bank of India. We are all very sensitive to that. So where there is a compliance, non-compliance happen, the regulator may give you a fine because you are not complying. I am talking from Reserve Bank of India, but there are maybe many such other regulators to do that. There are CPE fines. Okay, there are IRDA fine, there are NHB, National Housing Bank, imposing a penalty on those companies. They are the regulators. So where there is a non-compliance, there is a reputation risk for the company. To that extent, the internal auditor may be asked to go and check whether the compliance or is done in time by the company. So the internal auditor job is not only to do the non-compliance, but you may be asked, according to the objective and the charter of this your internal auditing, you may be asked to review those processes where it involves a penalty. So the company would like to avoid those penal provisions and thereby asking the internal auditor to go and check before them. So we need to prevent the frauds in happening, prevent the errors happening, prevent the non-compliance happening, and that's where we add value. So every company would expect the internal auditor to not to have a non-compliance and go and check and tell them in advance, and that's a big responsibility. So to me, compliance with laws and regulations, whatever be the company, there is a humongous responsibility on the part of the company, and which is also being passed on to the internal auditors to go and check and come back to them. This is not easy for people like us. You need to first download or read our magazine. For example, Chartered Accountant Banks. How many of us reading Chartered Accountant magazine every day? Or Chartered Accountant, what is there in every month issue? When you start doing CA journal, you have a ACS journal, you have a ICAI journal, you have an ICAI journal. Every booklet, every month there's a book. What is there inside? How are you reading line by line? Or what is that relevant for our company? So from our company, if something relevant from an RBI, we need to read. So first of all, we need to know where the material, we need to understand, we need to interpret, we need to know what is right, we need to give a suggestion to the company. So that's not so simple. So that's why I said downloading is always simple and uploading is what the challenge for all of us. So to me, the compliance with laws and regulations is unique, but that's a unique opportunity for an internal auditor. If you are well versed with the laws and regulations. For example, I'm in Sundaram Finance, where we have the group company. We are also the auditors for the group. So I have all the regulators. For Sundaram Finance, the regulator is RBI, being a finance company, NBFC. So we have a National Housing Bank, Sundaram Home Finance Limited, which is the housing giving loan on housing. So National Housing Bank is a regulator. So NHB regulations there. There is a Royal Sundaram Insurance, which is a IRDA company regulated. There is a mutual fund which is regulated by SAP. So all the 4 regulators are there. So I need to, the internal department is expected to have all the rules and regulations every day in and day out, and see that there is no compliance, there is no non-compliance, and see that you are giving in advance how to read, interpret, and put it that in practice. So that's the responsibility for the internal auditor. Okay. So this is the series of standards. Mr. Vidyaran already indicated that there is a 100 series, 200 series on conduct of companies. Whatever we do today are objectives, and the overall planning comes under 200 series. So conduct of 321 is also there. 500 not yet issued. So 600 is quality. Quality is not started. 7 is the earlier version. Earlier, when the standards on internal auditing started, it was about 1 to 80. Today they renumbered according to series. So 700 series is what others matter. So these is the standards going to be issued. There are few standards have been issued and many to come. So whatever the standards, why are we talking about the standard is we have to go and implement in the department or in the services that we provide, which will give a quality, and then the company will take the benefits out of that. And that's where the managing the internal audit functions is the most critical item. Today you can be managed, the audit can be managed through an in-house or by a practicing chartered accountant and do an internal auditing service. You can manage that. So I will take one probably work is conducted in conformance with the SIA. So we need to know about the standards on internal audit. That's why the programs like these are happening and are in webcast. So these programs will help us to understand the essence of the standards. Only then we will be in conformity conducting the power of the internal audit function. So I have said about the introduction, the standards are actually a principle focused. So they are not in any way giving a clue. That's a expected principles. You devise, methods by which that's going to be achieved, and provide a framework for performing and promoting internal audit. So as he said, it's a sunrise. Internal audit today is seen as a very big aspect, and not a person who comes and criticizes what is not happening or what is happening wrong. The internal audit is always expected to provide an independent assurance compared to in those earlier years of a critic. Internal auditor, according to me, in earlier days was seen only as a critic and maybe from the behaviors of the internal auditor. Today, internal auditors are fully equipped and they are expected to equip themselves with the the standards, the laws and regulations, the business, and you should align your thoughts to the company. So you are no inferior to any of the line functions, and you are better off actually. So that's the way internal auditing is coming. I'm sure, and I've seen the past the internal auditors, and today I see there are a lot of changes, and there are plenty of great internal auditors around us. So this is the first of standard and objective. So the important matter is what needs to be an objective of an internal audit. This is what a standard says, which is purely a principle. So many, maybe from a manufacturing, from a trading organization, from other companies, constructions, every company will have the internal audit department is expected to render something. So what is that? So the company management may expect you to say each and every process of the company is all doing fine. That's the broader theme of the company management. The internal auditor is expected to say everything is right. They need that assurance from you. How will you say that is what? You have to equip yourself. Companies like, let's say ICAI, let's say mutual fund companies or any big manufacturing company, how will their process, the company top will expect the internal auditor to tell me what is going right and what is going wrong? Very simple question, but the answer should come through very many years of knowledge and wisdom. And that's where we are expected to serve the company in the best interest. So the objectives may be different. So it depends on the size of the company, depends on our structure. For us, for example, in our company, we have about 60-65 people in the internal audit department. So it may not be seen elsewhere. There may be a smaller company will have 2-3 people. So a medium organization, there may be 10 or 12. So in companies like us, there are about 60 people in the internal audit department covering the audits of all processes across the group company. So it depends on the size, depends on what is expected out of you, and the structure of how do you do it with that. And as I already said about the influence by laws and regulations, Reserve Bank of India guideline or some other regulators. So you are expected to do a preventive action. And the objective should be stated with the nature of internal audit in a charter. This is what in every company there will be if you engage an outsider, so there will be an engagement. All of us know about the engagement letter by the company to the practicing people or an outsider, and they are expected to do that. So the expectations from the internal auditing, whether it's in-house or company outside, should be crystal clear, so that they will come out. Today, if you see if you read some news items and the first question is also what did when especially when things goes wrong or there is a fraud news happening in the paper, people will immediately come to the what did the auditor do, what did the internal auditor do and how long. So that's the quick reactions from the people. So the expectation is much broader, wider. So thinking that the internal auditor and the auditors are straight away responsible for that. There are standards to protect and deal with how to handle those situations. So to me, the engagement letter or the charter of the internal auditing should be very clear, specifying what roles do we have, what is expected out of that. If that is clear, then it's easy for us to go on it. And that's what the objective. So the purpose is to promote better understanding of the key responsibilities area. And as I already said, there is a charter. And Vidyasaran also covered about the two roles. One is on the consulting role and also the assurance provider role. There is in the international practices, there is an IAA, so Institute of Internal Auditors Global. So there is an international professional practices framework. Also suggests that the internal auditor need to wear two hats. One is on the assurance role, one on the consultant. So similar standard is also there in our ICAI standards. It also gives error 3.2 of the framework. It says that in some situations the internal auditor have to wear the consultant role. So it's not that providing assurance, it's also providing a guidance, which is also part of. So internal auditor is not expected to be only a critic. So you should give advice. How will you give advice? So you need to know what is happening. You need to give insight to the people. For example, if a company design a particular program, let's say a deposit. So I receive a deposit, I give a loan, I give an interest on the loan. So there should be a program saying that this is what the amount that you have received, this is what interest for a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. So there should be a design of how much interest that I need to pay. When the depositor comes back, I repay, let's say after 7 months or after 1 year, how much do I pay? There will be a program. If the internal auditor is expected to come after everything and say that something is wrong, the money is already invested in waste. So none of the company would expect the internal auditor to come at the end and say something goes wrong. So internal auditor needs to be part of the discussions at the design stage itself, is the expectation from many companies, so that the company will take as a addition of value addition for them only when you are part of the discussions. Though you are not part of the decision making process, but you should be there to decide, you should be there to participate, only then you know what is the company is doing. So that's a big difference from a vouching point of view, what you do in a historical thing, whereas from a designing point of view, you are giving your knowledge and wisdom, which is what a consulting role. So to some extent, we see the records, which is what happened in the past, they are all history. And many times we also look at the future when you design this computerized, especially when all our records are going digital. People need to know what is happening. So everything has happened and then come to an internal auditor and he verifies and tells that it is wrong. Then the time is already gone. So company may not prefer that. So internal auditor many a times will be expected to give their views, give their remarks, give their opinion, give their the suggestions, their best practices beforehand, before they implement and roll out the particular project. And that's what one of the area for internal auditor to understand about the IT controls, and other madam will be taking the class on that. So IT controls, the internal auditor needs to know about, and that's why there is also a CISA, there is also a post-qualification course for us. All that DSA course is there in CA Institute, in many other places. So the internal auditor also expected to know how the program works, how the controls are built into the system, and gone are those days where we have a lilac pencil and then tick mark. This is the voucher I verified. This is the cash and tally, trial balance tally. Today there is no trial balance. There is no voucher tick mark. Unlike in the days when I started, I used to have a voucher ticking with a lilac pencil. That pencil also is not the same. So this is unique for auditors. So wherever you find that tick mark is only by the auditors. The company will not use that pencil. So those days are gone. So today everything is online. Everything is digital. Customer can come and give their queries and complaints online. So they can transact their banking transaction online. And as customer, we would expect everything to be on our mobile. And if you go and draw 10,000 instead of 1 lakh, what will happen to the company? So I can't come and tell the company that instead of 10,000 drawing, he has drawn 20,000. I can't come and say after 6 months. I have to prevent that from happening. And that's where the role of internal auditor has uniquely changed from the detection of the history to the future.
Continuous monitoring.
Continuous monitoring. So continuous monitoring is a continuous and critical monitoring aspect, is part of the internal auditing. Sometimes we may also take the role of a concurrent internal auditor. So how do you differentiate between concurrent auditor and an internal auditor? There are ways and means. So in earlier days I was also the concurrent auditor and then became insight, giving each and every process, analyze each and every process and then give a report. This is the difference between the day-to-day operation. There are many segments into the auditing itself. So there are people who do check every day and people like us who are also handling Excel. Today with the computer systems we can, instead of verifying all the transactions, we will verify the exceptions. So today that's the order of the day. So if you see, there are many transactions happening across, even in your mobile. You see, many times you would have seen that there may be a call to you immediately after 5 minutes. There will be a call, see that have you really transacted this. There may be a SMS, there may be a trigger from the company saying that whether you have done that. So how is it being happening? That's a built-in control. So if the normal circumstances is taken care in the system will give you alert of what is going wrong. So to that extent, internal auditor know what is normal and what is abnormal, so that exceptions can be analyzed. So internal auditor is actually expected to see most of the red flags, most of the triggers, most of the alerts. What is not normal, probably we will have to look around. And that's where the continuous monitoring process will help us.
So, even this objective will be the subject to the scope which the audit committee and the auditors finalize.
Subject to?
The scope which the audit committee and the auditors
Absolutely.
finalize.
Yeah.
Because there could be a process which will be not finalized with the auditor.
Yes, correct.
It's limited to say 2-3 processes. So if they tell that there is no law and compliance and regulation, you will not change because there is another team which is doing it, and you do only the P2P or OTP. That's all. Will you be at the wrong part to accept that particular scope and go ahead, or is it absolutely fine?
From my experience, I would say we have to refer to 138 of the Companies Act. That's where the law and regulation for us. So if it is not a company, then there is outside the scope. So basically, internal auditing is a management function. So company engages the internal auditor with the view to do 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe continuous critical appraisal, give me the exceptions handling, give me an assurance of each and every process. That's what the objective of the standard. The standard says you need to be very clear on what is expected out of you. So whether you are done according to 138, if it is under the Companies Act, then there should be a committee. There are provisions available to us. So and which is already there. So you are expected to form a scope document. We call it as a scope document. You can have we'll have a charter, we'll have a scope document of what the internal auditor is expected to do. There we mention about the roles and responsibilities. So what is the internal auditor's role? Internal auditor is responsible for all the frauds happen or part of this or not. So what is expected out of you should be spelled out very clearly. So it should be routed through the board or the audit committee. That's what the people in the governance, they say. So they are responsible for governance, which is nothing but the audit committee. So internal auditor is actually generally expected to report to the chairman of the audit committee and not even to the managing director as an authority. So that's where the independence is also not compromised. So I report to the chairman of the audit committee and not even to the managing director. So where the process happens, there will be a chat from the audit committee chairman to the internal auditor directly, which is also there in the standard, saying that there will be exclusive meeting with the audit committee chairman, and you are expected to say what's happened. And those are all the protections given by the regulations. So there will be a scope document which should be placed to the audit committee and approved by the committee. And based on that, you are entitled to do. But the committee on their own will not give. So internal auditor is able to give me a draft first of all. So we prepare a draft and send it across to MDs, PMDs, and they give their opinion, they supplement, and they may see their expectations is I want this, I want that. So everything they will require. So to that extent, I need to know whether it is possible, not possible, what the manpower requirement, what the resource, how to deploy, what the tools that I require. All that is what the job of the internal auditor.
We are putting on record to EL.
They are record to engagement letter. Yes. So if it is an in-house internal audit department, there is a scope document. If it is an outsider, there will be an engagement letter. So engagement letter is form the basis of your authorities and responsibilities when you are outsider. For us, this is a scope document. So I will spell out this is what we are supposed to do, which is blessed by the company. So which they say is signed off. And if there is a clarification or there is an issue at a later point of time, this holds good. Then this is a legally valid document. And which is also seen by the statute writer and by any other RBI inspectors, regulators or MCA inspectors, so on and so on. So whoever wants to, that's the basic document, and that's the authority given by the company. That's the document on which all the internal audit function will happen. Okay. So internal audit may sometimes have to bear the hand of a consultant, and many times the consulting roles will be relevant for a future and an assurance function for the past. So this is the objectives. Many of the objectives are the monitoring of internal control, as I said, continuous monitoring, not even the monitoring, continuous monitoring. How do you continuously monitor? Depends on the size of the company, what is expected out of you, what spell out where exactly I need. For us the money is the raw material for us. So we receive money, we invest and we give a loan. So where will things go wrong? So there will be a KYC issue. So foremost importance is laws and regulations. So there is a regulation. All the regulations are important regulations we need to adhere. I need to say that these processes are working 100% correct. So that's the monitoring of internal control. So for a customer, when he asks a loan of 1 lakh, I should not give more than 1 lakh. So that should be document, that should be a money, there should be an investment, there should be a loss of inflow. Customer may not give money in time, there may be fraud, there may be no vehicle, all that will. So monitoring of internal control, within that which is high, which is medium, which is low, those are all the risk based we should see. And we look at the systems and processes for each and everything, and who is responsible, what correction action has been taken, what preventive steps the company needs to take. This is the radar for the internal audit. Financial, some people may be expecting you to do every transaction, see that 1 crore and above, you may please check and give 100% assurance. Take a 1 lakh and above, do a random check. So there is no, today in my opinion, there is no just pick something and do a dipstick kind of thing. You can have a very scientific method of, have a sampling method. So you go for sealing, go for product line, cover all across all branches and take some samples and do that. So rather than a random sampling, you do a very scientific sampling. So that's the examination of the financial and operating information. Maybe the expenses where he said that engaging a contractor. So we also engage a direct marketing executive. So there may be a commission agent. So who procure business to us, we pay some incentive to them. Okay, the buyer goes to the dealer and we pay incentive to the dealers. So to that extent, brokerage. Sometimes many companies pay brokerage for getting some business deals or sales. So that brokerage, we do not know who is actually the person behind. So there may be a KYC, there need to be a, whether the amount is actually as per the agreed terms and conditions of 1%, 2% or whatever. The company may expect you to come and say, take this particular expenses here, then do an auditing on that, possible. So that's what the financial operations. There's also an operating activity and compliance, I've said many times, risk and so on. So broadly, ICAI activities are taken every process, so do a very systematic approach, do more importantly from a technology point of view, so that you will see what controls are built into the process rather than you go and physically verify everything.
Whether this covers IC, internal control or financial report?
Internal control?
Or financial report?
Yeah, more financial. It depends, sir. Sometimes the internal auditor may not be expected to do only a financial see. KYC, there is no financial. So for us there is an anti-money laundering. Okay, so the Reserve Bank of India lists out people to whom they are engaging in anti-social activities and we should not fund them. So there is nothing to do with the money that I am paying, but I need to know that I should not fund a person who is already in the radar list. So those kind of things are all quality matters, not necessarily a financial. So internal control is also on the process, not necessarily a financial information. Your process itself is getting audited. To that level, both it could be quantitative as well as the quality aspects of it.
what is the governance in IA activities? What is the internal audit expected to do on the governance? What is that? Last one.
What governance means, the company is expected to do the business transactions in a very structured way, or which is adhere to, let's say, policies, guidelines, adheres to rules and regulations of the the country, all that. So those are all expected systems are in place is what the governance. So which is where the internal auditor expected to have a say. So you need to say whether the regulations or compliance are there. There may be income tax, there may be GST, there may be an RBI regulation, there may be CPE regulation, there may be a Reserve Bank of India guidelines. So all that you need to go and check, which is forming base for our business transaction. So governance is actually the core principles on which the company runs its business. That's a value system. So you would have seen the corporate governance, the value, the mission statements are all. We also have a statements of values. Sundaram, what we call it the Sundaram values. So we have integrity is maybe one of the values. So something like that. So those are all the principles on which the business runs, which the internal auditor also expected to monitor and give a guidance.
Internal audit should also monitor the governance activities of the board.
Absolutely. Governance.
We are already covered in compliance with law regulation and item 4. Governance, I mean, internal audit should also review the governance aspects, reviews of the board about the governance, oversight.
I would say, sir, you may be right, but I would say the mandate, which is a charter or whatever the engagement letter that you get, you are expected to review the board function, please. If it is not, absolutely, if it is not covered under that
scope given to the internal auditor.
So it depends on what the scope given to you also. The company may expect you to review whether the board meetings are done according to issuing a notice, giving an agenda, all that.
As per
Yes.
law, who is to review that?
Huh?
As per law, who is to review that?
As per law, there is nothing stated. No? So that's why there's an internal audit is not done by the company. Internal audit, the company only says give a document, give a scope document attached by the company. So vis-a-vis the statutory auditor's roles and responsibilities are different. Internal auditor role is mandated through the scope document, through the engagement letter we call. So if it is outside the purview, it's not so.
If I may supplement, the Companies Act only says scope will be prepared by the audit committee in consultation with the internal auditor.
Yeah.
So the scope is not given anywhere in the act. It is only decided by the management through the audit committee, wherever the audit committee is there in the company. Otherwise, board of directors, the board will decide. So it all depends upon the scope which is given to the internal auditor. If the scope says internal auditor should count the number of leaves in a tree, that is his job. He has to count the number of leaves and say this many leaves are there in this tree, in this tree, in this tree. That's how it is. Management, it decides management.
Because basically internal auditor is a management function, sir, which is different from a statutory auditor point of view.
Yeah.
Internal auditor should check the systems and balances in force. I want to ask you, how much percentage is supposed to do? 100% or 50% or sample?
That is based on the experience, based on the tools, based on the expectations of the company. There are many methods available, sir. For example, if you have a system, let's say I do transaction 24,000 transaction today. Say I receive money from customers and I lend money to customers. That's all happening. So which one you will check? Should you check 100%? Should you check 1 or 2? That's where the tools, the controls built in within the system, controls manual, all that form part. Internal auditor expected to understand what need to be checked. That's the question. So internal auditor need to know how to check those things. I cannot physically check and it is not expected also. That's why in the principle they say it should be a system focused and risk focused. If you start doing transaction today and there are lack of transaction tomorrow and 5 years down the line, how will you check? It's not possible. That is why they bring the principles of systems and process forecast and the risk management will help the internal auditors to say that this is a normal thing that, let's say my interest percentage is let's say is 10%, and my expected outcome is 10, and in somewhere I'm getting about 10.5 or a 9.7. I need to know that I can have a 0.2% cushion and see all transactions which goes above the median. So those kind of a thing I can choose and then verify whether things are going on. So rather than verifying all transactions, there are methods available for all of us to say that instead of checking all, I check only those exceptions and see where things are go wrong. So rather than picking a random sample and seeing that the 2 lakh transaction is right, I see that the transaction which is it's an outlier, which is a difference, and see and backward what goes right and what goes wrong. So to answer your question, sir, so internal auditor, how many percentage? There is no need to be a percentage. You verify all. By a scientific method, when you say I check all that, it's actually you are checking 100%. That's what the sampling method today. There is no random. When you say the exception handling, the continuous monitoring function, you are actually verifying all transactions in a radar. There are methods available how to do. There are books available. There are plenty of tools available for that. So all the transactions into the systems are getting verified. See that there is a you devise that more than that 0.25%. I would like to know. System will give you that. How to do that is what?
Practically, it's not possible the way you are saying.
Let me switch it on.
You go to a hotel, they have thousands of transactions in one day, Saravana Bhavan.
Yeah.
But how the internal auditor will check this, whether it's correct or wrong?
Yes, sir. So that's what. So suppose, for example, sir, I'll give you one quick example. In Sarana, let's say Sarana Bhavan Nagar transacts, let's say 1,000 people a day. What is that going to eat? There's only dosa, masala dosa, things like that. So that the bill will be 120, 200, 300. If there is a bill of 10,050, probably you can go and check what is that. This is what I'm saying. So how will you go and check all 20, all 120, all masala dosa will be there. How a 50 or 500 transactions come with 10,000 rupees possible? Probably there may be one buyer who have given a bulk order and taken 10,000 rupees also possible. So rather than verifying all masala dosa bills for 100 rupees, go and check what is the 10,050, easy for an auditor, go the exception is what I'm saying.
Maybe
So whether it is impossible to verify, absolutely. And that is why the system focus.
Maybe
With the help of technology.
Yeah.
I'll give a complimentary.
Yeah.
Instead of checking the entire transactions, even 10,000, you can go for the procurement side on that day or production side on that day. And on that particular day, how many plates have been
Correct.
completed. Probably the quantitative analysis will give you more,
Absolutely.
more complementary.
Nowadays,
controls.
instead of following the sampling method, what the people do, using the technology and programmed controls given in the program packages, they analyze all the transactions and take the exception as rightly pointed out by Venkatesan, take the exception and then study in depth the exception and then give the report. Actually, you are seeing the entire transaction, not the sample. You are not following interval sampling, you are not following random sampling, but with the use of the computer software programmed for control, you analyze all the transactions and then take out exceptions and concentrate on the exception. That is how it is done.
It can be even complementary controls can be
Sir,
checked.
we have to use the data analytics for assurance.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That covers 100% sampling.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
100% covered.
It depends on the company, so it depends on the ability of the
The
internal auditor to
technology
see a data
available in the
analytics,
company.
worthwhile, not worthwhile, also the decision of the company.
So for decision making.
And because he has said that it's not humanly possible, and that's where exactly the principle saying that there is a system and focus and there should be a risk based. So you are not expected to do 100% because you are taking only that risk based. If you feel when there is 100 rupees and 10,000 there is a risk involved, probably you go and do that. None of the act or regulation can say that you go and check only the 10,000. It is up to you. You have to divide. And the company also will help you and you have to tell the company that this is the method that by which I am doing. They may supplement and others also do not know, sir, as you said, don't do only the amount. You can see that which customer, You can say which area. Today, T Nagar is doing 10,000 rupees, some other area they may go 1 lakh. So those are the analysis that is available to all of us. There are many methods and tools. So this is not exactly the only one way possible. There are many ways possible. And rightly, for that question, rightly so, the institute is suggesting for us, go and do a risk-based, go and do a systems and process in place. More and do it through a technology, through a data analytics, all that will help us to come to that particular conclusion. And people cannot say that you have worked in not telling me that there is a 120 rupees error when you are actually concentrating only on 10,000. So don't lose that. You can also have a random within the 100 rupees. Possible.
So totally it depends on risk assessment of the management's risk assessment.
Yes, I'll come to that. There's a slide on the risk management by the internal auditor also, both possible, sir. I'll come to that.
It is not auditing the like attributes of your internal audit. Because you take any process, governance will be there. So you see the policy and procedures, then you see whether tone at the top is how it is. That is not there, even the bottom level will not work out. So all those are points that
I'll come to that risk aspect by the internal auditor, also possible. This is the basic engagement letter or charter for a in-house internal auditor. We will state the purpose and things like that. Nothing new, and the quality is also part of that. And the entire the objective of the standards of institute SIA, the standards on internal auditing by ICAI, is to improve the quality of internal auditing. So to that extent, SIA 7 assumes a lot of significance, and tomorrow that I would like to cover on the particular in detail. So the quality, in my opinion, the quality of the internal auditing, how things to be done, how possible to verify all the transaction, how to do is all mentioned in the quality. So the purpose of the standards on internal auditing itself to have the quality built in for the internal audit function is what I take it from the standards on internal audit. So any questions at this point of time?
But the scope itself, based on RBI, that case IA charter cannot give the scope.
IA charter will say do this way. Is what IA charter is. Actually the governing book for us, giving the authority. That's a document which will say please do that in a risk-based method. So which means if you are not expected to do all that thing, all the transaction, all the time. Not possible, no. And that's why risk-based will come to our rescue.
Suppose something is missed out to be defined as an exception.
To be defined?
As an exception.
As an exception, yeah.
Then how the system will throw the exception?
Good question, sir. This is what practice means. So there will always be a miss. So when you say that internal auditor will cover, internal auditor cannot cover, company also may not cover. That's all by the land. So you have to take that process, go to the root cause, understand how they got missed out, put that process in place. So put some more controls into that and better way. So you have to visualize what things can go wrong before designing, and which you will miss that. To that extent, the best of your abilities and knowledge, and bring out that design. Still, if you find on implementation there are 1 or 2 lapses, and you need to go and fix it. How soon you are doing that lapses also is a question. That's why you can't have one perfect system in place. None of the company will have. So we also have to evolve. So there may be lapses, there may be misses in any system and any design. And thinking that it should not go error is what the prevention. So there may be a detection mechanism as well as a preventive mechanism. So whether things will go wrong in practice, yes, absolutely, things will go wrong. So we need to expect that things will go wrong. How do I prevent that to happen? Possible. After that, effort also there will be lapses. We know, go on, fix. That's what the risk. That's a risk. That's a risk involved.
As you said, there is an IA charter that you have placed. It will define the scope 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the things to be audited by the internal auditor. While doing the audit, if the auditor finds a problem in some other aspect, some other point, is it okay to add that point also to the report, or should it be fully neglected? How it is to be done?
Normally, sir, it won't be neglected. So probably they will say this is not covered in the probably the scope. So this is what comes through the particular assignment. Probably they will add it to the next time. So I review a particular aspect which I am not supposed to, or I am reviewing a particular aspect, but that point is not covered in my scope. Probably I'll indicate that in my report saying that it is not covered. But you can go and consider that a test committee or a company management will say that please add to that. That's a scope document. When you give it maybe 1 or 2 pages and then go on adding. That's an experience. So on day 1 you will not have pakka scope document. It will only be a theory then. So you will have to evolve page by page, evolve process by process.
Keep on changing, you add and.
Yeah, possible. So that's where even the scope document also need to be reviewed every year and to be placed and amended from time to time.
But if the particular area is also having an impact on the other points,
Yeah.
which is the scope is covered, and you can't say that I will not do that.
Yeah.
Because it is out of scope.
Absolutely.
We have to take.
You have to necessarily ask probably the management to go deeper into the subject,
Absolutely.
analyze and then take an action.
Correct. Many times we experience, we give a scope and the statute writer also had to go through that, and they may come with some conviction, this is what I need from my angle, and probably ask the internal auditor to go and have a internal check on that. Probably possible. So I actually skip that not to happen, but others also will dip in and then say please add this. Possible. So CFO may add, statute writer may add, all of them will give you, and once they do, probably after a couple of years, that will be a very better standard, better scope document, and you can run that. That's how the company do. And probably during the course of 1 or 2 years, the company also change the processes, change the new product, go for a new technology. So there the scope also will get changed. So it's not that it's always a one-time solution, one scope document for every year. You need to go and change, adapt. I quickly go through 1 or 2 points on the overall planning. I already talked about the 138, and you already said that the internal auditor formulate the scope, functioning, periodicity, and the method. Periodicity may be a year, maybe 6 months once, sometimes a quarterly audit is necessary. All that the expectation from the company.
But it's not clear.
Not clear. That's from the screen. Probably not from my screen.
Focusing as.
I'll read out. First time 138 of Companies Act. I've said 138 of Companies Act with the rules 13.
Not clear.
The audit committee of the company or the board. I'll read out, sir. For your benefit, they may give you a printout. The audit committee or the board shall, in consultation with the internal auditor, that's what the other already point out, in consultation with the internal auditor, formulate the scope, functioning and periodicity methodology for conducting the internal audit. So that's the basic work of the company, but the internal auditor is expected to give you the draft first and then they do that. So it's not that the top management will give you a dictation. So you have to take it through. So it's actually undertaken prior to the beginning of the plan period. So April, let's say 33, 24, I need to give a plan of action, what I am going to cover, how. So it's a very comprehensive in nature. So all the processes are done or not all the processes, what I am expected to do. Should I do for sales? Should I not do sales? Should I do only a procurement? Should I stop with only the balance sheet items or what? Or HR, sometimes in some companies I have seen HR is out of the internal auditor's review, or because you are not expected to see and you see only the numbers sometimes. So you are not seeing the payroll fully. On payroll is audited by externally, also possible. So it's not that internal auditor only need to verify all the processes. The company may also engage an outside professional to go and check the HR side. And we need not go and do that. To that extent, there will be limitations in the scope document for us. So this excludes HR. Probably I need to mention that in the scope document when I don't do an HR audit. Possible. So comprehensive nature, and there may be disclaimers, limitations to the scope document where I am not expected to do that. So that tomorrow if there is any issue or a challenge, I can always say that I am not expected to do, something happens, what should I do? So that's how the law works. So locations, functions, business units, legal entities, including third parties. You already pointed out that there will be a contractor, so all the contractual obligations engaged by the company should be a part of audit or not. So that's also the scope document. The periodicity also.
Culture ethics.
Sir?
Culture ethics.
Culture?
Culture ethics. Also cover this.
Which is, I'm sorry, sir, I'm not.
Culture and ethics.
Culture and ethics, absolutely. So
Part of the-
culture and ethics also, it depends on the scope document. So if there is a scope document says that if there is when you go on the inspection in a branch, if you find that there is a wrong practices followed by the people, please bring it to my attention. That's also a scope. So to that extent, if you come across some information about somebody doing something wrong against the reputation of the company, it's my duty to go and tell. So culture, ethics, also possible to be included in the scope document. In our case, yes, it is.
Who writes the scope of an internal auditor function?
The company is expected to write
The job description, who writes?
the company is, that's what the second line mentioned, the audit committee of the company or the board in consultation with the internal auditor will formulate the scope is what the 138 section says. But the company managing director in practice will not give you a dictation of this is the scope. So generally the in-house internal auditor like me has to give me a draft, give the company this is what I am expecting the company to govern. They may say no, this is not what I expect from you. This is what I expect from you. Add these 2 to 3. The CFO may do, the statute writer may do. Is a in practice. When you engage a third party, a practicing chartered accountant, he comes to a discussion with the company million and that is finalized.
Sir, even though it's not the scope,
Huh?
if there is any statutory violation, that should be brought out in the internal audit.
Which one, sir?
Even though it is not covered in the scope, if there is any statutory violation,
Not brought in the scope is a statute violation. Okay.
not covered.
So to answer his questions, who actually draws the scope? The company is expected to draw scope in consultation with the internal auditor. And if there is internal auditor is in-house, probably he will be asked to give a draft and then finalize. If there is a third party, the practicing chartered will come for a discussion with the company and then formalize. They may say, add this, I am not expecting you to do this, that I can engage in another person, also possible. That's how it is.
Standard, CAE has to decide. CAE has to decide this scope.
CAE has to do this. Chief Audit Executive, he says, the head of the internal audit function. So in all, even if there is an engagement by an outsider, the standard suggests that there should be an in-house person to monitor or take the responsibility of the outsourced activity. So though there is an engaged, the internal auditor function itself is outsourced or to be given a service to the practicing professional, there need to be a guy in the company to take the responsibility. So it's not that nobody is there. That's how the head of the internal audit or as EAE or a person engaged in the company who takes the responsibility. So he actually coordinates the external auditor and the company management person.
So the
Both
question what is outsourced, it is no ignoring statutory violation, is it not a professional negligence, even though it is not covered in the scope?
Why is that?
Because as a professional, who has to cover the, no.
I'm unable to hear you, sir.
Give the mic.
Yeah, I'm unable to hear you, sorry.
Mic is not working. Mic is not working.
The internal auditor
Tomorrow
has to cover the statutory violations, even though it is not covered.
Internal auditor? Yeah. Just press that, sir. The top of that. Just check whether that's working. Yeah. Please.
There are statutory violations that come. And these are the function is outsourced.
Ah.
So the case of our accountant has some our CA.
Okay.
He is not covering statutory violations in the market.
Okay.
So is it correct?
Is it correct? That's what I've said. The law expects you to have a scope document. Generally the company will expect the internal auditor to include the non-compliance or compliance of the regulations or statutory. So if I engage in out practicing professional also, I may probably expect him to say that have a review of all the compliance requirement by the company and see that and report any violation thereof. That's what it is. If the company says I am not expected you to do a violation because he is not responsible for that, but the other statute writer others will also question that, because you can't say I will do some violation, now nobody is there to report. The statute writer is also there is also expected under regulation to go and see. So he will have a say saying that there is a violation, and the internal auditor may not be responsible for that, but still the statute writer will tell the company. The company is finally responsible for the violation. No? There is a possibility that the internal auditor is excluded from the scope, but still the company is not outside the purview. The company is still responsible, and the statute writer may question that. Yeah. And none of the companies today interested in saying that they exclude all the violating now. No company is there, because there will be fine, penalties, reputation risk is too high. None of the company, in my opinion, will skip that as a function, and that's where the plus of internal auditors.
Statutory complaints should be given top priority in the audit.
Absolutely. It depends. Most of the companies do so.
Sir,
Because, yeah.
in case of Companies Act 2013, under section 138, internal audit conducted by the chartered accountant, cost accountant, any other person.
Yeah.
What is the meaning of any other person?
I will give an example. Good question. I will give any other person. For example, housing company, housing company, or even banking company. There is a CAB, there is a. I'm a lawyer. If I'm a lawyer, the housing company will have a lot of documents. When I give a loan, I need to see whether he has got you are the owner for a particular flat you are going to buy also. So there will be a lot of legal documents for the house for so many years. From inception, from 1932, there will be a translation, there will be a vernacular language possible. So the lawyer is a better person to read the title of the particular property rather than even a chartered accountant, in my opinion. I'm saying, I'm not discouraging chartered accountant. So the other person is in those companies. Let's say in a housing finance company, need not go with a chartered accountant, also go with a person who is a lawyer who is capable of doing an internal audit better than me. This is what we also do. If you go to a mutual fund company, they need not be a chartered accountant. But from a money angle, yes, we prefer a person with a financial side. But also with that consulting mind or the money mind, which is an investment, which is a risk mind, that also will help us. So the other person is a CIIB, that's the banking, where you have a qualified banker. The qualified banker is also one person with a dependent on. So the company may go for a person who is an in-house. For example, company where you have a transaction happening, I am a 30-year person will know much better than finance rather than a chartered accountant who is a new buyer. The company may go so. So that is an option given. So lawyers or some life insurance companies need not go with only chartered. There is a life insurance education is also there. So you need to be the tech, the fundamental insurance agents, kind of thing. You need to study about the insurance product. So there the company may prefer an insurance agent rather than a chartered. Possible. Company secretary may not do. Company secretary may not necessarily do this way. Company Secretary Institute also has got a diploma in internal auditing. Our institute also has got a extra, the post-qualification course like that. Possible. So today, internal audit is a subject of expertise. So that expertise need not lie only with the chartered accountant, and that's it. Because internal auditing is not limited only to financial transactions, is the biggest opportunity for all of us. And that's where instead of internal auditors and others, they say that you are the business acumen. So we bring a lot of insight into the business transaction and not only the financial transactions. Both has got a lot of pluses and minuses. So it's not say that statutory auditors is great and internal auditors are less. No. It is not that internal auditors are great and statutory auditors less. Both may not be right. They give with that perspective and we do with that perspective. We dwell more on business. they're expected to more with the financial statements. So it is not that they don't look into the business. They are also expected to have the violations. So both has got pluses and demons. So the other person will be the lawyers, will be the actuarial valuation person from a pension fund company, or an insurance agent from a Sundaram in a insurance company, possible.
The body corporate allowed to go internal audit.
Sir?
Consulting company and the body corporate, private limited company, are they allowed to go internal audit?
They are allowed.
They are allowed in the sense there are some, it may not be a limited company. Sir, I understand there are companies to, there may be a trust. I've seen that there are trusts which carry the internal auditing side rather than being an employee of the particular company. For example, if there is a group of companies, I'm not talking about Sundaram Finance, but generally group companies, they may have a setup for doing a services of the internal audit by a particular trust, because they are not actually your employees on roll. So to that extent, the body corporate may probably comes into picture, I would say that. So need not be an employee, need not be an engaged outside, but within the group which is allowed, so that is a body corporate. Need not be a limited company. It's not limited company in my opinion. It's a guy who can do that. Probably for a company like us where I audit Sundaram Home Finance or Sundaram Mutual, which is another company. I am a limited company. I am an employee of the parent company. So I am allowed to do transactions of a subsidiary company under this scope. So we are called the group internal auditors. So internal auditors of these group companies. So in that company there is no internal audit. I only do the processes of that. So we get fees from them and we do on it. So Sundaram Finance, the parent company is their employees audit a subsidiary company, possible under the law.
Is there any regulation to say that only chartered accountant firm or chartered accountants or CMA or CS is the only authorized people to do internal audit?
It's not
except the section 138, sir. Section 138 allows that CA, CS and the body corporate to do that for a subsidiary group companies. Others may not do that if they are covered under 130. If they are not a company by themselves, then this regulation will not apply. 138 applies only to companies.
Yeah.
Within that series. So to that extent they are covered. The other persons probably, if the company says that he is a better equipped person than a chartered accountant, probably they may do that.
This is more the option of the company rather than the regulation.
Yeah, option of the company.
It is. And that's why it's a management function.
Even under 138, the chartered accountant, cost accountant or any other person. Under any other person, consulting company can be internal auditor of a limited company. There is no bar.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Tax auditor can do in internal audit.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so. Not possible. Because under the sections,
he is a statutory auditor.
we cannot do the internal audit. So internal auditor of this subsidiary cannot. All that regulations are there. So we will not be doing that.
Because the tax auditor also independent, internal auditor also independent. Okay, sir, it is two versus simultaneous.
No, because the perspectives, the expectations from a tax auditor is far different from the expectation from an internal auditor. So the tax auditor may have all the knowledge and criteria of doing an internal audit. There is a difference. So for that company, he can't do that. He may be engaged in internal audit of some other company. That's no issue. Then he is not a tax auditor of the company. No? So tax auditor of the same company can't do that.
The internal audit report is for management only and not for statutory audit.
No.
So internal auditor reports to the board or the audit committee.
The report is only meant for management.
Absolutely. The internal audit is always the management function. It's a tool.
What about statutory audit?
Statutory auditor is under the Companies Act, So he is expected to do. This is what you are expected to do.
He is asking, internal audit report, can it be given to statutory auditor?
Absolutely.
Statutory auditor has got the power to ask for the internal audit report of the company and go through, comment upon it, and he has to report under CARO.
Yes, sir.
how the internal audit is being
Yes.
done. So he is entitled for the copy of the internal audit report of the company.
Normally, sir, in companies, in big companies, corporate, you have to place that to the board or audit committee. There, the internal strategic writer also form part of that.
Yeah.
So a report also goes in. So you will have to read. You will also have a discussion with you what happened. Because they work for the common purpose. No, his perspective is only different, but he get to know a lot of insights. So he can't just disregard of what is written in the internal. So you will have a discussion, 100%. So whether he's entitled to a copy, I may probably beg to differ, but you will give an access to that and he will come and see and read. So nothing prevent the statute writer, no, you will not get this. Absolutely not possible, because his answerable responsibility is much more wider to all the stakeholders, and you will have the power to say so. So statute writer will get.
Basing on the aspects covered in the internal audit report, internal auditor has covered a certain angle, certain area, certain cost center. Statutory auditor may change his methodology, coverage kind of thing. So he has to look into the internal audit report. He is entitled for it, in my opinion.
Durability of
He asks for it, you cannot say I will not give.
There is a normal standards SA 610 which talks about the coordination with the internal auditor from the statute writer point of view.
responsibility of internal auditor.
Yeah, responsibility. So the statute writer actually he expresses his opinion on the financial. So you have to look into the reports of the statute writer, the internal auditor, the technology reports. Technology reports. Many times the internal auditor, may look into only the business side. Technology, there may be another auditor, which is a systems auditor. For that purpose, there is a systems auditor. So statutory auditor will see all the reports. He also sits on the board at the time of the audit committee meetings. So we will do that. Some companies will ask internal audit to come to the board and brief what is there, and they may ask to leave. The statute writer will come and share their quarterly findings and others, they may go. So both of them will understand what is happening in both of their reports. Possible. So it's not that you are expected to sit in the board of internal audit and all the time. Not necessary.
So after the amendment,
Coordination is mainly referred to avoid duplicity.
Absolutely. So statute writer to avoid duplication of sometimes in practice, sir.
specifically tell whether you considered the report of internal auditor.
The idea is to promote governance. Okay, so basically, the company also would expect internal auditor to concentrate on particular aspect and such. Statute writer may come also have a dialogue saying that I will do the bank reconciliation for the particular quarter and you do for one more quarter. I do a checking on 30th September, you do a checking on 31st March. Also possible. Also possible. That needs to be there because otherwise it's a duplication.
Yeah.
So that will not promote the good governance in the company. There's a duplication, wastage of time, money, all that. So the company can promote that also. So internal statute writer will always have a say on the functioning of an internal auditor. The vice versa may not be so, but from a statute writer point of view, internal auditor they will have to go through the reports and see essence. So that's actually a supplementary for them. So they'll expect us to do these ways. So it's not that he says that another projector they are saying. So there are two planning, there are two methods. One is on overall, two standards are there. One standard talks about the overall methodology, and the other is for each and every assignment that there should be a plan. So there are two standards. So we talk about the first one. So number of individual assignments are getting covered. Risk-based plan. This standard also suggests that the overall planning you need to have a risk-based planning. There, as he covered, I'll talk about the requirements. The risk assessment is the most important point. Again, technology development. They're talking about the technology development and resource allocation and documents. What the slide doesn't cover, but if you go through the printout, you will understand. I'll read out for your benefit. The risk-based is what they're talking about, and Sir has already raised a query on whether the risk assessment is done only by the company and given it to an internal auditor. Is not so. So this standard expects the internal auditor to prepare an independent risk assessment, which in my opinion is a big challenge. without the tools, techniques and the resources available to us, the internal auditor, expecting an internal auditor to go through an enterprise-wide risk assessment is a very big challenge. How to do? Yes, there are ways and means, but still, prima facie, yes, this is a big challenge for us. And the standard also suggests that when I do an independent risk assessment of all the processes of the company, I may also align to the risk assessment of the company, which is again another challenge. If I am asked to prepare a risk assessment, in my opinion, I put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but over. But I am also expect to align my assessment to the company's risk assessment methodology. There I need to be aligned, so which is again a big challenge. How do we do? Probably we need to evolve and understand, sit with the company and align. So that's the way. Why are we doing a risk assessment? Is prioritize our job and focus on the high risk items or critical items, or for example, when I give working capital loan, it's a high priority item. It is if I give an unsecured item, there's a priority. There is a deposit acceptance, there is a repayment of deposit, the money may go wrong. So there is a priority item. There is a settlement of a particular loan transaction is a priority. So each and every process we need to look at and see that how impact or a likelihood of that happen and impact. That analysis is what the method for a risk-based audit, which is all given in the risk-based auditing for us.
Sir, sorry to interrupt. You said management will do the risk assessment separately. Auditors will do again entire thing.
Yes, sir.
So can I do evaluating the processes and approaches of risk management by the management?
Yes.
Management by the management.
Yes.
Can I evaluate those processes
Absolutely.
and approaches and validate this and arrive at a risk assessment outcome?
Right.
That is allowed?
That is all. That's allowed. That is what in practice. That's what we do in practice. So it's not that you also do. The standard suggests, it's not still mandatory. The standard suggests that the internal auditor also expected to have his own independent exercise of risk assessment. It's not say do adopt what the company has given you the risk assessment. You need not go. So it gives you a larger probably independence and freedom to say so that you may also say that the company's the risk assessment may be different or may not be in line with us. Probably I am also expected to align. So there, if I come to know that these are most important things and company say these are not, then probably I have to go and have a dialogue with the company. So that's what the larger interest is. So as he said, these are not in your scope. You can't skip that. So in my risk assessment, I say that this is the law all applicable, and there is a risk of law violation, and there is a penal provisions applicable. I should say that in my risk assessment, the company need not. So there is what expected out of me. So I have to carry out an independent risk assessment. How do I do? That's where I am saying there is a challenge. Okay, because you may not have that expertise of what the company is doing. That's the one thing. You may be a better person from a financial side, but not from a business technical side. There another standard says you go and have an engagement of an expert. That's what it is. So ideally the company will think through and say that these are the risks for me because they are the business owners. At the same time, the auditor also need not go only by that. Is the independence and freedom. So you are expected to have your views expressed to the company and say that this is the gap and please tell me what should I do. That also should be documented. That's what the standard says. So you don't just close your eyes and do what the company says. It's not a management function. Though you are called as a management function, don't close your eyes and do only things that you are expected. And that's what we all know that cash is not my area. That people cannot say that. So you are expected to verify cash on deposit. Yes, you are. And that's the fundamental difference in the way it should be seen. So in my opinion, yes, the internal auditor not necessarily to go only by the company and adopt, but he is expected to have his own judgment and give the risk assessment. Whether we will be how efficient, how correct he is, that's a different question. But I am expected to have another assessment and align that process to company. If it is not aligned, then I have to go on table that this is what please answer. And that's where the company will say, no, we will take care. That again, that's a document.
Yeah, they can adopt any framework. Most of framework on ISO 31.
I beg to differ, sir. When they said they, that they is actually in the company, you know. Because you are also, the internal auditor expected to form part and parcel of the company. Even if you are now a practicing professional, because you think that this is the company on which I am doing all the processes and giving my views. At the end of the day, we review a process and give a views. So there is actually you are a practicing professional and the company who is engaged. So there is a contractual obligation between the company and you are expected to review and give a solution to that. So even if it contradicts your opinion, still fine, no. The company need not agree with the internal auditor's view. The company need not agree with the view. But you are expected to give your view, and company may overrule. It is still documented. So that is also a protection. So you are not expected to not to say. You are expected to say so, and that's the plus point of internal audit.
I am telling now, even an expert coming from outside, he may suggest a new.
Absolutely. And that's why that's a facility. So if I don't know anything about the digital designing of a particular product, there I can engage how to check a BCP, how to check a particular technical side of a system, which I may not know. So only the technical guys, IT guys will come and tell me. So they may say what is hacking and things like that, which also enable the internal audit to do. Internal audit need not. I must have read about the hacking, but he will do that. So that doing is not given to me. So to that extent, I am aware that there is a hacking possible. So who will do? So the company can engage an outsider and take advantage, and I can take that clue from that and adopt. So I think that is what expected from the company. Company will engage an internal auditor to review her own processes, engage an outsider because it's too technical. If they come to know that the in-house internal auditor is capable of doing that also, why engage an outsider? You can engage him. Possible. So that's the coordination, that's the facility available to all the company. Engage an outsider for the expert technical side, which you may learn. Also possible. Okay. So this is the another standard on which we already started covering on the expert. So expert is the person where he gives some special skills. As I already said, IT side, people bring you a lot of new clarity. So they may not really know the business side of that, but when you give a requirement and you talk to them and they come with a design and give your opinion. So after all, IT has to work for the business. So unless I give you what is my requirement, they will not be able to come with a design. So it is also the company's expectation that the internal auditor or the companies within the functional heads go and talk to the outsider and bring out a particular design and convert to the system. All the IT system work like that. So IT is one area where especially there may be actuarial valuation, there may be a pension process possible. So new, many maybe from manufacturing there are many technical side which the internal auditor may not really know. So those are the areas. Maybe I'll give you another example of intellectual property rights, IP rights, how easy for an internal auditor to understand. So legal provisions, actually, how internal auditor is able to understand the parent document, this document, all that may not necessarily be. So there may be engage in another professional and you take care. So the expert is also a guy who engaged by the company and he benefits the overall processes. Normally the company will go engage a third party only where the skills is not available within the company. Only then cost wise or benefit wise. Even if it is so, once or twice, company will also try to engage because they may give you perspective from the industry rather than internal auditor. Internal auditor, I know more about my company, but I do not know happening in every company. Whereas the third practicing professional may give you a lot of insight into what's happening there, how we can do that. So that's a different perspective. That's an experience. So always a practicing professional brings larger perspective into the business. Whereas in-house internal auditor will give only about that company and may not sometimes know what's happening really outside in the market. They don't know what is latest. Whereas outside practicing professional, they will tell, I have done that, sir, you please do this way. Possible. So that's where the expert, using an expert is also a benefit to the internal auditor. The standard draw our attention that when you engage a third party, when you engage a practicing professional for the particular segment, it is the responsibility of the internal audit is where I see some contradiction, which means I do not know anything about the, let's say, IP, intellectual property rights, and the company engages, and I also take part in the discussions and all that, but I am responsible for what the reviews by them. So the internal auditor at the end of the day is ultimately responsible even for the expert's opinion, but to that extent my report I have to have the disclaimer. So internal auditor generally shall not refer the work of an expert. So because they will say this particular work is handled by so and so, their reports is attached, something like that. Any questions on the expert, engaging an expert for IT service, our internal audit service?
Experts' activities as processes have to be reviewed by the internal auditor.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. That's what the standard suggests.
Bring about any weaknesses or anything on that.
So that's why I said, sir, I see a lot of contradiction because when I say I don't have that skills and competence to do an audit of that particular activity, I am made responsible for those reviews. This is where I see a difference gap in the standard. Because ultimately the standard say I am responsible. The internal auditor is responsible for the audit done and an opinion given by a third party, which I do not know. That's why I engage him. No? So when I know, I do it thoroughly. Because I don't know, I engage a third party or a practicing professional. He gives his view. I can't take that view. I can only say to my boss, saying that this is what I have engaged and this is what their views. That has to be considered. So making internal auditor responsible for the view is a question mark, according to me, is what I am saying. That's what standard suggests. Standard says
there are some provided blah blah but
that's what we do it. No, this action of particular IT or a hacking is done by a third party vendor through a particular thing. Those report is also attached, which I need to know what is that. I am not made responsible, but as a company they will know that you are not done that because there is a report. So if there is a clarification, I will have to ask. But I should have the knowledge and knowledge of what he is writing. To that extent, I need not add it to my report, but at least I know what is he writing. To that extent, the knowledge level should go up. Is what the expectation from the company.
In my opinion, I feel the methodology of appointing an expert, engaging an expert, and then taking his opinion, that only has to be reviewed by the internal auditor. He is responsible, not for the result or opinion given by the expert. That you cannot change because you have taken him for his expertise. The methodology of appointing, the necessary qualification of the expert, all those things maybe we can review. Other than that, we cannot take the responsibility for the results given by.
That's not the standard.
Contenting point. How can internal audit can be responsible for the opinion given by the expert?
Hiring that expert for your own purpose to fulfill the scope. You are not hiring, then it is not your life. If you are hiring, take the liability also. This is a standard.
So this is a wording given in the standard. Probably this is a food for thought for all of us. Go and read and take it. How should we do it in practice? Standards suggest that internal auditor shall retain the ultimate responsibility for internal audit conclusions and opinion unless specifically mandated otherwise. Internal audit report shall not refer the work of an expert in his report because we only attach this is the report given by him and we engage in this is the conclusion. Otherwise if we made responsible for his work may not be right. More there may be arguments for and against. Probably you can take it as a takeaway from the discussion.
Because standard says take the responsibility for the work of the expert also.
Absolutely.
But that is again for a
In practice may not be right. Because the very purpose of engaging is I do not know. That's why he gives the report. And I can't take that. I can, as he said, I can engage, I can be a part of the discussion, who should be engaged, how he give a report, and I also need to have the knowledge of what is he saying. Rather than taking the responsibility of whatever plus and minus that is given, I am not held to be responsible. To that extent, my report need not cover so, but I can indicate that this is the work done by him and place that report to the board. Rather than include in your report saying that I have engaged and this is my report. Sir.
We do bank audit.
Bank audit, yeah.
Regarding gold loan, sir. Gold
Yeah.
loan. The appraiser gives certificate.
Correct.
He is considered as an expert.
Correct.
Shall we rely that?
We have to rely, no? That's what I'm saying. Because we do not have the skill of that valuation. Company engages another person. We is the technically valuer.
He is engaged by the bank only.
Bank only. That's what I'm saying. You can't engage, no? The company only engages the valuer. So based on that appraisal, you can take it. But it's an input. Because you don't have the skill set, the company engages outside. That's what the expert. So you can draw your conclusion based on the insight provided by the valuer. If that insight turned to be a wrong one, what is that? I am made responsible. I am drawn the attention from them.
But our guidance note says auditor should test check the contents of the packet.
Possible, sir. Possible. That's what I'm saying.
When you are not an expert, how you can take the contents?
That's what I'm saying. There's an argument for and against. Because in practice I do not have the skill set. I am making the company to engage a third party valuer so that he will be a better valuer than me. They engage and I say. So I am entitled to take that input for my arriving some conclusion or the other. I am on the standard suggests that this is the report given by the valuer and is based on this. As a professional within the company, I can't say that he is right because of the fact that I do not know. That's why the expert is appointed. So we draw the conclusion based on the insight. If the insight given by the third party valuer is proved to be wrong sometime later, you can't make me this is in good faith. This is what it is. And all the contractual obligation works like that. No? That's the third party agreement works like that. You have to believe that valuer. You may say the valuation is wrong always. Okay, there's a method by which you can also test it. And that is why when you engage a third party, who is that you are engaging, how is he, what is his background, so that will be a due diligence. So for the benefit of the company, they may engage somebody and you have to take everything through that. It's also wrong, no? That compromises my ability. So I have to say that I can't go by this valuer because I have to prove the company that everything, whatever he gives is wrong. If that capability is there with me, I can always deny that. That also there, company may disagree with that. No? Company may disagree. So there is a practical side to that. Yes, sir.
In the case of gold loan packet verification, what the guidance note says is, you engage the appraiser, he will test the quality of the gold, whether it is gold or brass or whatever, he will tell. But what you are expected to do by opening the packet, count whether there are number of bangles, number of ring, number of chain. That is the thing.
The purity of the gold.
Not about purity. Not about purity.
No. They say statutory auditor should test check the selective content.
Where he has done the work
Content only,
appropriately.
content.
Absolutely,
Take
sir.
supporting evidence.
Content means number of bangles, number of rings,
Number, okay.
number.
Sir,
That is
sir,
what.
sir,
And
sir,
the
sir, I will
quality,
tell
whether
you
it
this
is
way.
real gold or not, appraiser will tell. That appraiser report will be the basis.
Yeah.
But you have to see whether number of bangles are there, number of this is there. That is what as statutory auditor we are expected to do.
No, even the
Yeah,
methodology by which he is giving his insight also, we can have a say.
We don't open all the 600 packets. We open only 60 packets. But appraiser will tell about the quality of the gold. We will count only the number of items as mentioned on the top of the packet.
Take
That's
certificate
what
from
we
the.
do.
No, we cannot give in the LLA that I related the appraisal certificate.
Yeah, we can.
They make ultimately statutory auditor is the responsibility.
No, no.
Both
Appraiser
the
report
NFR
is
of the
taken.
bank as well as guidance note makes statutory auditor is ultimate responsibility.
Absolutely.
When the problem comes, he say I cannot say I relied the appraisal certificate like that.
Absolutely. Correct. So even it's not only the expert, even the internal auditor. That's why standard says even the internal auditor work he did not go by. No, I'm saying a similar thing happened for internal auditor also. The statutory auditor is expected to review even the internal auditor work and take that. So he need not blindly go what the internal auditor says. No? Same thing applies there also. So he has to have his own ideas and the way methods by which he rely on and the insight from another guy. That is how all the experts will come.
The standard should have said the auditor should evaluate the approaches done by the expert and take necessary evidence to support the conclusion.
I agree with you, sir.
He cannot evaluate the technicality of the
We can't do
matter, which is not
If you are able to do that, then there is no expert necessary. No, so that can't happen.
Appraiser not changing for 10 years in the same branch.
There is what the method, the way in which it's all being done should be the points for the external auditors, the statutory auditors to say. No, the statutory auditor is also permitted to give his remarks and opinions, no? So it is not being changed for 10 years, is also a cause of concern. Yes.
shortcomings. Wordings properly worded.
Anyway, at least I am glad that opens up some ideas about that. When we, when I said that it just may not be right to say that I should go only by them, not necessary. So I will enclose the report of the valuer or a board, and I take that insight and then draw a conclusion. Maybe right, maybe wrong. It depends on how you deal with it.
Better to avoid experts report.
No, you can't say that. No, sir, because we are expected to review their process. Then you avoid that from a mandate. Suppose if you want to exclude your responsibility, it is for us to exclude from the scope, not otherwise.
Mandate itself.
Yeah. Okay, the last one I think is the how to get the evidence. Very simple. We all know the evidence from a statutory writer point of view and all that. There is only a couple of points for me to say so. The evidence collected shall be recorded and the internal audit shall maintain a return process. It depends on the companies and the volume that you handle. So it's not that when you go on, in those days, when I was a student, go and verify, as I said, go and verify a voucher, ledger, all that we know that this is what we audited. In a technology parlance, you go and verify everything, but what is placed in the board, how do you know? That's where many of us they get caught. There are a lot of things happening and they question. So the book itself is changed. What do you do with that? So we have to rely on the controls. But if the system and process itself is changed, when you go to the board and you give some other paper which is not audited by you, how do you know where is your tick mark? So that's where you can't get every printout and do like all the ledgers. You can't have a copy. So in a digital era, technology side, you can't have all the ledgers print out and you save it in your disk. The company also may not give you. We will only go, this is the server on which there is a folder given to you, go on, all the files and folders are given to you. How do you know that the file is only there in the replica of the trial balance when you see the larger number? May not be. There's a risk that the professionals carry, whether it's an internal auditor or statutory auditor. Possible. So it depends on your assessment of how the ethics, culture, value, process, maker, checker, segregation of duties, all that comes in the picture. So how information technology controls, how the committees work, how the papers are given to company, and how the figures are being formulated, how a voucher is prepared, how a numbering is given, all that comes to a rescue. So there even the statutory writer can say that this is not the figure that I have audited, that figure got changed. How do you say so? Where is our evidence? So there is a lot of work for internal auditors to do. What is that we check? I check today with that particular element. Tomorrow it may change. There may be some insertion of a particular entry. How will you know? 31st of March, 31st, let's say 31st of December, every month and there may be an entry or open in books. How will you know? So how long the transaction time, the transaction date, probably some I need to see as auditor. So as an internal auditor, I need to say what is 31st March, how many cash transactions are happening on 1st of April, how much is done. So how many check are received after 31st of March and prepared on 31st of March? Possible, no? So the evidence collection is I feel from a practical point of view is a big concern to some extent, unless you are equipped to handle how things goes right and goes wrong. This is a fundamental issue for any audit, not necessarily only an internal auditor, but you cannot have that suspicion in mind and do an auditing also. After all, we do it with a lot of controls and trust and things like that. Basic trust is always embedded in our whole system. So we don't rely only on computer. I also have to know what is capable of. So there is a area of work for internal auditor to say how to take that evidence. But basically when we say or when we come out with some opinion, we need to have that evidence. So maybe probably this is what I have seen. So it's not necessarily the person's printout, but at least the way I have done. So this is what I looked at. This is what we have seen. This is what it was. This is what the discussion minute from that particular meeting I had with the functional head. Yes, that is the way I can submit my views. So to arrive at a conclusion, I'm talking to the particular company management. You need to have that evidence. I can't say, sir, I have audited, sir, and this is my report. That's not possible. Then we also have a peer review subject to reviews, others, all parties. So you can't have, at the point of time, we cannot have all the printouts and ledgers what the company is giving and store it for many years. But the day when we audit, what is that approach I have done? What is the way I have conducted my audit? How did I arrive my conclusion? On what basis? That needs to be documented is what the evidence. To that extent, many of us, may be very disciplined. Should be disciplined enough to keep those records in our system.
But that should be preserved for how many years? Audit evidence.
It depends, sir, from maybe I do not know about the regulations from
8 years.
8 years generally they say. Company will keep it for 8 years or 16 years till the assessment gets over. Maybe from if there is a computer system, the logs are retained for larger more years than the physical forms. Internal audit, how many years the internal audit will do? Once that there is a policy on restricting the papers, records and all that, to that extent it will be there.
So the 8 years is only the minimum requirement.
That's what I'm saying.
Maximum nobody.
If there are, generally, sir, the companies will keep the records as long as the assessment gets over, mostly. Nothing to do with, if there are 16 years, those records, not all the records of the particular. You can't expect a petty cash voucher to be for 16 years, not possible. So to that extent of that assessment or other filing and other things, we need to keep for a longer time. There are some documents, SLAs, agreements and other need to be filled permanently. all those possible.
Yeah, policy should be.
Policy should be there for to keep a documentation. So there is a standard on documentation which Mr. Vijayan I think covers tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow.
There is a documentation. There need to be a policy. So you keep your evidences open for that. From my experience, there will not be the query for a couple of more years till the regulator, the inspectors comes and verifies and clear reports. For example, 18, 19 and 19, 20, I need not worry. So those are all there in safeguard, but the query will come only for the latest year. So till such time, the circuit writer, the MCA inspections, RBI inspection, those people come and verify. You have to maintain full records. To that extent, your file should be there. There should be a policy and signed off by the company.
All these
The evidence, he said, the evidence should be on his own. Yes, sir.
the owner of this evidence, the company.
No, evidence, one of the primary responsibility of the company, but from an internal audit opinion point of view is what the standard suggests. That's the internal audit. The internal audit department or the practicing professional need to keep those evidence for the views that he has expressed. To that extent only they covers. It is not covering the documentation, it is covering from an internal auditor's opinion on the document. The last is the evidence must stand on its own, which means if I have an evidence and I say, when I go for a discussion, the company asks a certain clarification, I say I'll go back and come. Then that's not evidence. So you will have to have an evidence which clearly goes and binds on your judgment or your opinion. That should be a sort of evidence. So which means a conclusive proof. This is a conclusive proof. What is it? It depends. It depends on each and every argument that I make or a conclusion that I arrive. That's where the point. So evidence, in a substance, I would say, keeping an evidence, all evidences together with the internal may not be possible. So when you give an opinion, express a point, then you need to have that in place, so that when there is a query raised by somebody, you need to go on deliver. That should be there. Otherwise, you also lose your credibility. I'm telling you. If you say you write something and some managing director is asked, if you say no sir, I'll come back to you and explain later in every meeting, then your credibility is questioned. You may be right still, but in their mind they may think that the poor guy is not doing things right. That the risk is always will happen. So you need to be very clear what you write. So that's why you are expected to have from different perspectives. So how this will be seen, CFO how will be seen, circuit writer what will question. Those are the minds that I need to have before I give some opinion is what the standard says. That would be a better way of doing things. So obtaining evidence, there are many ways. It should suggest that there is an inspection, there is a inquiry, computation, analytical review is one way of the exceptions kind of a thing. Computation is the figures. Inquiry and confirmation is mostly majority will do. So you go and talk to a person about the process, then how things work, what is that they expect, and you go by that. So the inquiry and confirmation is the general steps taken by the internal auditor. So this is the way you have to have an evidence. That's all from me. So if you have any questions, I'm ready to respond. Yeah, please.
One is on the plan period on the when we are setting up the initial scope.
Yeah.
Plan period for the internal audit. Can it be for a prior period or will it be always for the current and subsequent period?
The standard suggests is for a plan period at the beginning of the year, sir. That's what the standard suggests. It is undertaken, third bullet, it is undertaken prior to the beginning of the year. So it cannot be for a past year, but then you are only an history. So you can't engage in internal audit for 18, 19 and then do. So it's only for the current year is what the ideal method. The standard suggests it should be taken at the beginning of the year, probably 23-24. What I am expected to do, have that goal and do this way. Yes, sir.
In a company, the accounting manual prepared very exhaustively.
Okay.
The financial controller
Yeah.
is in control, a chartered accountant.
Okay.
Why should we have an internal auditor again?
Good
A
question.
manual, exhaustive manual, everything is written clearly. A financial controller is a chartered accountant, has got about 3-4 assistants. Why you need an internal auditor again with all this?
Good, sir. I will probably, from my experience, I'll answer. SOP, whatever you call in accounting manual, the standard operating procedure, what we call. Why do we have statute manual? What is that as a company head I need to know? So what is that I need to know as a company head? I have all processes. I know that I have all processes. Then why do you need an auditor? So the fundamental, the basis of forming an audit is to get an independent opinion. You may call it an internal auditor, you may call it a statutory auditor, tax auditor, whatever.
Now an external auditor again.
That's what I'm saying. So my expectation is I need to know as a business head that my processes are doing extremely fine. Only then I am delivering that experience to my customer or my stakeholders, whoever be it, whether a shareholder, banker, or my employees, all that. So I need to ensure that my processes are working. So who will do that? If you say the functional head, I have, if you ask the financial controller, he will say I have. So when you say who is the best internal, I will say I am the best internal. But it is for you to tell me that this is who is a better person. So the independent individual only will be in a much better position to say you are right and you are wrong, rather than the same person itself. If you ask Venkatesan who is the best internal auditor, Venkatesan will say I am. But it is for you to tell me, no, this is not the standard of what he is speaking. Somebody is a good speaker. That's for you to decide. So if I believe on financial control and say that everything I have got in a manual, then why audit? Because of external environment, he comes with a different perspective. It is not so. Your financial controller is wrong. That's a person. As a business head, I would like to know that. Only then it adds value to my business. So I may have an exhaustive SOP, but nothing implemented in practice. Who will come and tell you? I have a book. I have an all standard. Why are you coming to this program? You have everything there in the book, no? Somebody may give some insight. I may not give an insight. That is a different issue. I am saying there's a book. So an SOP is a book. Manual is a book. But who will say that this is all being practiced? That you require somebody. That somebody is what the internal auditor or any other professional guy. That why businessmen expand? Businessmen expand because you want to grow. If every flaw is there, how will I grow? So there is a belief system working in me as a business head that I need to be part and parcel of all. The business head need not be a specialist of even the auditing. The company managing director may not really know about a chartered accountant's role. But he is interested in engaging a chartered accountant, get to know what he thinks of that. And when he gives an opinion, he is then in a much better position to say that what internal auditor says may be right, may be wrong. That's why he overrules.
There will be a conflict.
There will be a conflict, sir, and that's why it's ruled out by an independent agency.
Will fight.
It won't fight, sir. It won't fight. That's why I'm saying internal auditor is a unique position. Now, I'll clarify, sir. Whether you agree or disagree, I'll clarify. Internal auditor is an independent managing function, and that is why as long as you ensure the independence, there is always life for internal auditors. That's my belief. Because the word independence is what? You have to give an unbiased, objective opinion. Where is the question of conflict? You disagree, no? I give a report, you disagree. That's a different issue. But you are giving me a freedom and independent nature to say so. It's itself a big thing, no? You are not going only by way of financial controller saying that his SOP is right. You are also engaging an internal auditor to say that it is right or wrong. And that's where you don't depend on only on SOP. You need somebody to say that SOP is being implemented in practice. And that's what the role of internal auditor.
Ordinary organization, unless it is listed or statutorily required. Financial control playing both roles. He is himself.
It depends on the. It initially said no, sir. It depends on the company. It depends on the requirement. Depends on what you expect. If I don't expect my process to be very clear, I don't engage. No. You need not engage. That's the right. The option is given to me as a business guy. If you are a company listed and do these things, you are expected to do form. You are expected to have. You can't ignore. By engaging an I will also say the other way. By engaging an internal auditor, it means that everything is right. Not necessary. Not necessary. I may give you some insight and you may include that. You may ignore. Possible, no? That also is possible.
Some of the advertisements coming auditor to report to the marketing in charge of the region. There are many advertisements like
that may be a compromise of the positioning. It may not be right. It may not be right. Because internal audit is expected not to take the line functions authorities, gone from a decision making process. That's what it is.
Sir, it is some of the company to appoint an internal audit employment basis. That case, how it is independent, sir?
I am an example. I'm there in Sundram Finance Company for the last 34 years. I worked in internal audit for the last 30 years at internal audit division. Day-1. The biggest advantage, the way I stand before you is only with that. Without independence, how would I would have gone my career? I'm not the person who says about when the manager says yes sir, when CFO says yes or no. That is the company. That is the practice. That is the value system of the company. So it not only depends on the internal auditor, it also depends on what the company expects in a business, and that's what it stands. So what is independence? Independence is not sitting independently. That's not independence. Independence is a facility given to you to express your opinion unbiased. That's the independence. You say so, whether it is a managing director or an accounts officer, this is wrong means wrong. That's what Nakiran is, what we all call Nakiran Parampara, no? So you say that this is wrong. When you say wrong, you need to know what is right. So the biggest opportunity for an internal auditor to say when it is something goes wrong, you need to know what is right then. So you have the better knowledge of understanding the things which is out of is better in a better position. So when what is independence? Independence is unbiased. I don't feel fear or afraid of. I have to tell this is wrong. Why I am saying wrong? This is what it is. Whether they will hear me, that depends on the company, no? That depends on the company. If they are not ready to listen, why should I stay there? That's an option given to the individual and not to the company. They may throw you, that's a different issue, but I may not stick back. So that's the professional. No? That's what the professional expected to do. So unbiased, objective. I don't care he's a financial controller or an accounting person. I should have the ability to say this is right. And that's a support function. I need not do whatever they say they do. That's not auditing. No? And if that is the case, there is no auditing function. So independence, so I am an employee of Sundaram Finance Limited for 34 years, saying that these processes are right and these processes are wrong, how do I improve? If they don't see a value addition, why should they keep you? And why should they pay you? After the business went. And when it is getting paid, I should also give back my value. And if they don't see value, I also need not say that. So it depends on the professional ethics that you carry, or the capabilities that you carry, or the kind of an attitude that carry to the value of the company. The company may not even read you.
You are fortunate, sir.
No, all are fortunate. I'm saying all are.
In my career, I resigned 3 jobs, same position. I resigned job because of the.
That's unfortunate. But I'm not saying this is only one company. I'm saying the profession is like that. So as he said, this is a sunrise profession. As he said, when Rajendra Kumar introduced, he said there is only one company like me stick into SIRC or ICAI. So it's not like that. So it's not that you compromise when you are an employee, you compromise. There are people who also ready to hear you, know, which is the plus point of auditing profession, not Venkatesan. It's an auditing profession is the highest. And that's why they are hearing you. The more and more you carry, you equip yourself and tell, that's what the company wants. And that's why the management function. They can't do that. No? They will have an SOP, they will have a financial controller, but then you need an auditor to come and say this is right and this is working. That also the company will expect.
One last question.
Yeah.
So I have been working in audit for a company as a statutory auditor. So what, as an internal audit process, what they do is, this is an MNC company and they get their internal audit from a group company. And they are giving this as the internal auditor's report. Can this be taken as an internal audit report? And does it satisfy the requirement by the Companies Act?
If it is under 138, it should. So there is nothing wrong in appointing, which is allowed under 138, appointing a person who is a chartered accountant or it's the same. There they can audit a group company.
Group company is doing the audit. For example, it's a Limited is here. It is owned by a German company. The German company, as an inside function, it does some internal audit of Limited also. Can that be taken as internal audit?
It is, sir. If it is permitted under your scope, yes. In companies like us, we supplement that. So I audit our own group companies. If there is a joint venture promoter, they also come and audit us. That's also possible. So whether we can go by that depends on your scope. Yes, it is possible. Very much possible in practice.
So one small clarification.
Yeah.
The word assist is always creating confusion. Assist to help the management take a decision. Is it a compromise?
In the definition, I don't think it is assist, but it's a help in accomplishing objectives got there.
Spider diagram.
Yes, sir. If you see internationally, professional practice formal, it also says accomplishing, help in accomplishing objectives. So we are all support functions of a management. That's why it's called management function. So how management can do it on their own? So we have to help. So to arrive, the company is in good governance, to ensure that the company is doing the right thing, we engage an internal auditor. So then what you are called? You are called a support function. You are called an auditor. You express your opinion, that's a way. So are you right in saying an assistant? Yes, it is. You are helping? Yes, it is. Because help is for them. My job is to express some opinion. He may take me as a help. And that's why they view as a management opinion function.
Does it fall under second line?
Second line means what?
Assisting is...
I'm not assisting, sir. I'm saying my way is to take a process and give my opinion. It helps them in accomplishing their objectives. This is what my job. I'm not assisting them directly. Otherwise, I will be a line function. So I am only doing my job. This is what I am supposed to do. That helps them, helps the company in accomplishing their objective. Is what my role. I am not assisting. I am not going and marketing. I am giving my own way of doing things, which is all established in the standards. That helps the company in promoting the governance, which is what it is. You can take that way.
You are not assisting in their work.
Yeah.
You are doing your work of
auditing. Which helps the company.
Your work of auditing.
Yeah. Which helps the company in accomplishing its goals. Probably. For a better governance, not even the goals, better governance. So thank you very much, sir, for the patience there.
I'm referring that spider diagram. Sir, I'm referring the spider diagram.
Spider.
Independent activities, supporting activities.
Okay.
Particularly risk management comes.
So thank you very much for your patient hearing. Any questions, you may also reach me at Venkatesh and Sundar Finance. Please take your seat. Venkat
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Venkat Halasim at Gmail. Tomorrow we'll see these standards. What is wrong is what we did. That's the thing. What is wrong? What is wrong or what is right? Rather than who does it? Who does it? Who does it? That's an objective.
There is a dinner available. In fact, live counter for dosa is also there. Please have dinner and then disperse. I thank Mr. H. Venkatesan and all the participants for interactive session. Thank you very much. We will have dinner and then go.